so that we're now recording in OBS. Okay, so today's powwow discussion is about batch releases. This is something I learned about in the hookah industry, and quite frankly, it's the only way that I've done batch releases, just because we haven't had the chance to do one otherwise. And it's something I know exists in a lot of small artisan goods, and I think that it's good for small artisans, and I think it's especially good for people that stream, because if you're a lot like us, the one thing that always winds up happening is you're always working on custom orders, but custom orders require, communication with people. They require hashing out details and pricing and however you do your invoicing. And there winds up being a lot of downtime between orders where it's like, what do I do with my time that I have now? Do I just work on something new that I might not sell to practice something? Do I, not work on anything and just do some gaming on stream? Those kinds of things. So what batch releases have done for us is given us, a dedicated, straightforward goal. We want to make this many products. We want to release it on this date and time all at once so that you have that constant workflow and it's not getting interrupted by communicating and getting custom orders hashed out. So what a batch release is you set aside a date and a time. Like Janie, yours is on the 17th, right? I think she said. She's muted right now. So it's June 11th at 1 p.m. 15th. Okay. So it's June 11th at 1 p.m. and that's when all of this product is going to drop. And it doesn't matter how much you drop on that batch release is totally dependent upon you, your comfort level, and the time frame with which you want to get it all done. We've done as little as 5, and we've done as many as 25 or 30. And you drop them all at one time. You don't let people purchase. Janie has asked me this question specifically. How do you handle people who want to purchase before? You don't let them purchase before. You make them wait till the date so that it's fair for everybody. Generally for us, and the way we've approached it is batch release items in order to entice people. One, they're already ready. So they don't have to wait for the custom order list. They don't have to wait for it to be made. Once they place that order, it gets shipped right away and you're done. So that's one way you entice people to buy. Another way you entice people to buy is generally your batch release items will be a little bit less than what it would be custom made to order. So we always upcharge for something custom made to order. So like we wouldn't there are people who do these that say if you don't get it in the batch release, then you can't have it. And that's their prerogative. That's not an approach that I think is very good. That leads to a lot of unhappy people rather than just a few unhappy people. So we've always made things available, but then it's good. Now you have to wait for a custom order list. Now there's going to be an upcharge for custom made to order. So, you entice people with a slightly lower price. You entice people with immediate satisfaction. And that's kind of how that works. They can be themed. They cannot be themed. We've done both. Like, our most recent stuff has been themed, and I'm just kind of scrolling through our Instagram. It was cartoon, and then it was superhero. And before that, I believe it was, we did mostly a plain one. Here was a plain one, but with a couple of added special ones that were airbrushed. And then before that, we did splatter paint, which was themed. So we've kind of gone back and forth on that. And that's kind of the freedom that you get in doing this. You're allowed to pursue as the artist, as the artisan, whatever you're inspired by, which a lot of times for us, when we're making custom made to order, custom made goods, we're kind of put into a pigeonhole sometimes about what we're supposed to be doing. And we don't always get that freedom. So the batch release in another way gives you the full artistic freedom to pursue whatever it is that you want to pursue. Um, and that's freeing for people who sometimes are told you need to do this, you need to do that, because that's what the customer is asking for. Um, so those are a few of the reasons why I think that they're good. I think they're additionally beneficial for streamers because now you're streaming this content. Everybody who knows who you are at some point, anybody who's interested, there's a lot of people who know who different people are, but anybody who's definitely interested in buying your product is going to be involved in one of those streams and see you making it. So not only do they gain an appreciation of what you're doing, making these goods, but they're seeing you make them. They're seeing them multiple times. They're getting the chance to see all this in front of them and make purchase decisions months or a month, however long it takes, a few weeks, a month before they're ever have that in front of them to make that purchase decision. You know what I mean? And I think that generates hype. That generates this feeling, though, even though the batch release itself is a crapshoot, like I need to get there fast to get what I want, it still is giving them the breathing room to make the purchase decisions early. So it takes away some of that angst that some of your customers may feel on the batch release. And speaking of that angst, not everybody's going to like it either. There's going to be people who say, wow, that was like all this hype and then I didn't get what I wanted. And then but the thing is no matter what you do, you're not going to satisfy everybody. And when you do a product release like this and it works, at the end of the day, when you're trying to be an artisan and sell your goods, like you're trying to make money. You have to make money and you have to sell your goods. So some people might be upset. There are, especially in the hookah world, they're very split on whether they like this concept or not. And the people are very adamant one way or another. But at the end of the day, if it's working for you and the product is selling, that's what matters. You want to make as many people happy as you can, but you're never going to make everybody happy, and you need to do what's best for you too. And what's best for you is making things in a way that allows them to sell. So that's kind of like the basic concept of batch releases and why I think that they're good and why they work. Like I know Janie had mentioned to me, someone is asking to buy something that I've already made for the batch release. What do? I said, you tell them they have to wait. And that person might not get it on batch release day and they might be upset. But if you make things unfair, you start selling ahead of time, then everybody just winds up, coming to you to buy what they want, and then you've kind of defeated the purpose of what that batch release was. The other thing is, like, if you're making only custom made to order stuff, you're posting sort of infrequently. At least for me, one of the things I struggle with most is social media, because out of all these other things we do on top of streaming, like trying to post things and stay on top of that is hard. But like, look at how, like, you get posts here and there, right? But then you get to a batch release and you have so much content to post. So much content. So you go from nothing, periodic posts, to boom, day after day after day after day, new product to show. And you do that the days leading up to the batch release. Like, don't necessarily post everything if you're not, like, time it so that it leads right into the batch release, if that makes sense. So like this was only a 5 hose release that you see here. I think, 6 maybe. And we did it, each post said when the batch release was, and then leading up to, usually a post with all of the things that are available. So this was like our little summary post of what was going to be available. But it gives you so much, an influx of content, both on your stream and on your socials, that helps drive the traffic, and also will help drive traffic to your stream, and hopefully, that batch release day is super high energy, super hype. It goes well and drives extra people there because people like they want to be celebrated for supporting you. And in the past when we've done them, like they've posted on the Facebook groups, which is where like we made our name in hookah. But now they get to come live and celebrate with you. And that's like an experience for them too, and for you. It's like a really, really good experience. It's been amazing for us. And I saw it like go so well for Boyd, and I was just ecstatic because you're watching everybody kind of party together. It becomes a celebration of you, the artist, but also your supporters and your customers as well. They get to be noticed, and that's pretty cool. I see some things in the chat like, do you have strategies for using social media to promote the drop? That's like when you want to time it out. I'm not a great social media person, like I'm really not, but you want to time it out, Momo, so that it comes in. Like, say Janie has, for example, Janie I think's planning for 10 cups. Plan it out so that like 15 days before the batch release, you're starting to post, the first cup. Then the next day, the second cup. And then like towards the end, you have all of the cups in one. Like, how often do we as artisans get to take pictures of a lot of our product at once? For me, barely ever, until we were doing batch releases. So you don't have to post just one cup here, one cup there. You can post this cup, that cup, then 3 cups, then 7 cups, mix and match them, show a bunch of different things. There's just an influx of content that you have available to you, both through your stream and through the socials at that point, that is a luxury for people who are used to making things to order and then not being able to, you post here and there, but you don't, when you're making things to order, how many things can you really get made, Yeah, similar to an album release party, as Dig Batty says. That's kind of what it's like. And it becomes a celebration and everybody wants to be involved. And you can see here's a different way that I've done it. Rather than just posting close-ups of the product, I posted a summary of what's going to be available, like the color palette, and then I showed people just how like wild that would start to look on different setups. And this was more out of my comfort zone than anything, as I was setting up a full photography booth to take these. But you have the freedom and you have so much content at your fingertips when you have all that product in front of you. And I see like there's some things going back and forth about theme. Theme doesn't matter. That's about what you're inspired by. Like, there's been times where we did a whole batch release of the splatter paint because we did like 3 splatter paint hoses in a batch of regularly themed hoses, like no theme. And the splatter paint was what everybody wanted. So then we followed up with a whole batch of splatter paint because people clearly said, I want that style. So you can kind of, you have to learn your customer base. It's a two-way street of learning what your customers want, but also doing what you're inspired to do. That's the freedom that the batch release gives you. So sometimes themes, yes, sometimes no. Thank you, Momo. You don't have to, Janie. These are just suggestions. Like, I'm not the end-all be-all of knowledge for this, and I can't guarantee that any of this is going to go, well for anyone. And we've had some that didn't go great for us as well. But I think Instagram is the best place to show off your work. Personally, I know everybody's like, you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on this, you got to be on that. And there were people who told us that, like, because you weren't on Twitter, you weren't on this, you were not going to get partnered on Twitch either. Like, you gotta narrow your focus. Don't spread yourself too thin. Like, pick a couple and really try hard at those. And if you feel like it's not going well or that you're not motivated by them, then leave those behind for a little bit and try a couple different ones. Like for us right now, we're on, and I'm just getting back to these. I was bad myself, and I admit that. I haven't posted on Instagram or TikTok in a while. But our main thing is we stream, we post our stream content on TikTok/Hover, and we post our art content on Instagram. So like that's kind of how we've handled it. That's kind of what I've liked. But Janie, you don't have to change it up for you. You have 10 cups. You don't have to post one by one. That's what I'm saying. Post 3 today. Post 4 tomorrow. Like you have that freedom to have all that in front of you to do. You know what I mean? And then the store of choice, you have to stream on that date. I've never done an official batch thing, but this is something I'm looking into for my wife. So yeah. So like all of the posts on social media say when it's going to be, and these were done before we were streaming. So I didn't have a stream date like to put on, but yeah, every post says available on this date and time on the website, and also come hang out with us live at twitch.tv/MoCoMade. Something like that. Every single post should have that. So you're just reiterating it because the same people aren't going to see the same post. So it might sound repetitive to you, but the person who already knows that batch release is happening is probably not reading the text when they look at the next picture. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to go ahead and just look at the pictures at that point because they already know when it's happening. I'm kind of curious how Boyd approached what he decided to make as far as like the theme, because it's so different than what I've done and you know what we do, and there was no theme. It was just for us, it's just for the hookah hoses, it's mostly color combos and stuff like that. So like were you thinking of a theme of sorts when you did that, Boyd?
Not necessarily a theme, I would say. It was more of just like what I had been making on stream for the past few months. And
Okay.
again, it was like people, it was those travel mugs or whatever, and people were asking about buying them, as I was making them. But at the same time, it's like, no, we're going to do a batch release. But, people watching them being made on stream, kind of built up that hype up until that day.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
not necessarily a theme, but yeah, just certain products that I was trying to make a few of at least.
Right, and you were making them for a while, so you had that time for the people that know you, the people that watch you. It was wood themed. Fucking Saki. You had that time for people to come in and for the large majority of your viewer base and of your customer base to see what you were up to, what you were doing, ask questions, become interested, and that built up the hype, and that slowly builds up and builds and until it drops, and then you have a party, you hang out.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like there's no guarantee that they'll go well. There is a risk in this. I don't want to just say because you're doing a batch release you're going to succeed, because like there is 100% a risk in doing this. You are you're really putting yourself out there creatively to say, I'm going to think outside of the box and do what I want to do that I think my customers will enjoy and want to buy. But then also you're making all that product, right? So some of our batch releases took 2 months to make. So that's 2 months of work you're putting on the table to say, I hope this sells. So there is a risk here, and there's no guarantee that it goes well. And that's something I just want to state, that just because you're doing it this way doesn't mean that it'll work. So you have to keep that in mind and temper expectations in a way. And perhaps that leads into how many do I really make? Don't go too far, or you don't want to make too little where if it just is sold out right away and people didn't even get a chance. But you don't want to make too much where you feel like you've cornered yourself to all that work and then it's not it doesn't sell, and then you feel like you've wasted that time. So it's never a guarantee. None of this ever will be. But I just think that like the one thing that we really struggled with before was staying focused on a task, because we're being bounced around by, I want this hand painted there, and I want these custom colors, and now I need to go buy that thread. Now I need to go buy that leather. Now Devin doesn't have that color paint. So you might spend 3 weeks bouncing ideas for multiple customers that are interested, but you don't actually get anything done. So like this has really helped us when we weren't busy otherwise hone in, stay focused, have a goal, produce content, build up hype, and then hopefully that hype leads to sales. I'm reading what you're saying. Planning a drop of felted wreaths in September. 2-year hiatus of not felting. That's awesome, Trist. Hell yeah. And you should be. I'm so happy to hear you're feeling inspired and motivated. And I hope that these communities help keep you pushing forward so that you meet your goals on that. I will say right now, I won't do free shipping anymore. We did that for a while, and it killed us eventually. It was just too much. So once in a while, a good idea, help motivate, the sales, and for maybe your first batch release, maybe that's a good idea. But I personally wouldn't suggest free shipping all the time, because it's gone up, and we already try to make our products as affordable as possible because we already know they're high end and they're already on the expensive side, right? So we cut corners on ourselves more than we ever should. I'm pretty sure everyone who's made and sold something in this discussion will say that they undersold themselves, because they're trying to help not compete with the price level of things that are mass produced, but at least kind of reach that kind of level. So I wouldn't double down on that, but with free shipping all the time. We did it for a long time. We did it for years, and it was a mistake, and we don't do that anymore. Discount for the Twitch folk is a decent idea, Saki. We've implemented that for the scrubs. And we have a special discount code for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. For your discount codes, is that something integrated into your website, or do you just ask them to put a specific something?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the back end of my website. Actually, I can, hold on. If I stop streaming.
No, just an question is fine. You don't need to.
Okay. I can't, because I can. I just got to make sure I go to the screen first so that I don't show things on my way there, if you know what I mean. But basically, under Shopify Wix, which we've done, we have sites on both. They have a marketing section where you can just input a coupon. It's super easy. It can be a percentage. It can be $1 off. It can apply to only specific items. It can apply to over a certain price point. And you have full control to make that whatever you want. I've made one-off coupons for people, with just their name, like Kim, and you'll use it once. It'll give you a discount, and and then it won't be able to be used. You can choose: can they use this once? Can they use this 2 times? Can it be used unlimited times? But yeah, that's how the coupon codes work, and it works the same on Wix and Shopify. And I know that you had more questions about the websites in general, Kim, and I think that we should do another workshop on that soon, because I know that you're probably not the only one, and I have experience on Shopify and Wix for that.
Yeah, because
go ahead.
if I do a batch release right now, like I said, I do have my domain,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't started creating a website, and then creating a website is a whole nother thing. So it's how would you do that on Etsy versus Ko-fi versus having your own website? And I know.
Yeah, it'll work the same way on Etsy. Our first batch release was on Etsy. And as much as Etsy isn't what it used to be, and I don't suggest it long-term for anyone, I still suggest it if you haven't sold before. I still suggest just get up and running on Etsy first. Eliminate, much like we stress not making everything perfect for streaming, just get up and running first. Make sure you even like it, because if you don't like it and you still try to do it, your vibe's going to be off and people aren't going to want to watch that. So just get up, and I always, even still with Etsy as bad as it is right now, I still suggest just get up and running and do it. And then as soon as you can, as soon as you feel comfortable, switch to a website, or when you have time, because it does take time to design one, even when they're not like very you know intensive like ours are. But like our first batch release, if I scroll all the way down, this batch release here, all these hoses, this was all released on Etsy. It was the only release we did on Etsy, but it got us started. And then once like a large majority sold right off the bat, it was like, okay, this is something worth pursuing. People are going to buy this, and that's when we move forward with making a Shopify website. So I still don't think, and you can see I did Photoshop like photo booth shots of those ones too. I still think Etsy has its place, even though it's not really for small makers anymore. Etsy used to be a place to be discovered as a small maker. That's no longer true. And the fees will cut into your profits, but at least you don't have to focus so much time on making a website and then also making product while also doing, life things. Like life still has to happen too.
Right.
So yeah, I still recommend Etsy. It has its place.
Only 20 cents to list an item on Etsy, right? So a lot of these other websites are, $30, $40, $50 a month, and you have to worry about a domain name and things like that. But yeah, Etsy is very cheap, and you just upload your pictures, write a description, and you're in. You're ready to go. So.
Yeah, it's like so quick and easy, and it takes like I was saying with the social media, just pick a couple and kind of commit to them. Like at us as small makers, we can't do everything. We want to. Believe me, everybody knows that I'm a stubborn dude, and I try to do everything, but we can't. We have to cut back on something somewhere. And the one place I would say, if you haven't done it before, just to cut back on, is don't start your own website. That's an easy one to cut out a ton of time and make sure.
Because like right now I have my own domain, so I can point it to anywhere that I want. Now I know we've been talking lots about Etsy, but I've also heard really good things about Ko-fi. Has anybody had experience with Ko-fi?
Yeah, I would love to hear from someone who has Ko-fi, because I don't, and that was not really an option, I don't think, when I was last on Etsy.
Right. And because like from what I've heard, well, one, the some of the benefits I've heard is that you can actually have people help you crowdsource things, as well as having a store, as well as having a social media platform. So like from looking at, I kind of went in and created a little bit of my page, and that's what it is. You have all of those options in one place.
Yeah.
I have a Ko-fi page set up. This is Dig Batty Heath, for those who don't know. Just set it up like a month ago. I've had past experience with Etsy, Shopify, Square, and honestly, the Ko-fi, in my mind, was the easiest just to get up and running and to accept different payment things. Like you can sell stuff, you can have, if you want to do a stream, you can have donations set up, you can have subscriptions set up. And I haven't looked into if it creates custom like discount codes, like one-time use codes, where you actually can control what goes in. We haven't played around with that yet, but I've had some decent success with it, and the ease of setup is what really that's what hit it for me. Because like Derek was saying, as makers, we don't have the funds, the resources to set up an entire PR team, a web design team, all that stuff, which is really, I mean, if you look at medium and large businesses, that's what they do. They'll hire a company that comes in, does all their marketing and branding for them, so that they can focus on what makes them their money, and that's their business, their core business. Right. And as small makers, we have to take that on ourselves. But I like Ko-fi. I thought it was very easy to set up and integrate into socials and everything else. But I've only been using it for about a month or so. But compared to Etsy and a couple of the other ones, this one is definitely my most favorite.
Okay, so setup is one thing, but like fees on the other, because I think for Etsy, it's a specific listing fee, and then for Ko-fi, Because like I've noticed there's a couple of times I've done like, I've done a custom mugger for someone and I
Hmm.
tell them a specific charge and then I get there and then PayPal's like, "Oh wait, I want
Right.
money."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I haven't adjusted for that because that was my first learning experience of doing it. So now going into a batch release, what is it like? How does Kofi work for fees? Because I know what
It,
they say on the internet and then what actually happens when you actually process it and do it. Are they higher than Etsy, lower than Etsy, comparable?
I haven't dug that deep into it. I've
Okay.
had some sales, but we're not that big yet to the point where I can really get a good comparison. Like we were on Etsy, I was on Etsy for probably 4 or 5 years selling
Yeah.
pens and stuff. So I had a
Mhm.
good historical data to look at. And
Right.
we've only been on Kofi for a short time, so I am not exactly. I couldn't
Mom,
give you. I don't feel like I can give you a good, solid,
Okay.
educated answer,
That's
informed
fine.
answer.
So,
Yeah,
just so you
Momo.
know, I put it in chat,
Okay.
but you can I don't know the individual fees offhand, but you can sign up for their gold membership on I call it Ko-fi.
yeah.
Their gold membership is $6 a month and they don't
Mhm.
charge you any additional fees. I
Okay.
would not expect that to extend to payment processing fees since you're going to get that
No.
wherever you are.
Right.
But at least with their gold membership, you can budget for that $6 a month. And
Right.
there's even a function where your supporters can gift that to you or someone else can gift you that
Ah.
membership. It
Okay.
might be for a year at a time, but
Mhm.
that's something that can be promoted as a way to support you as well.
Okay.
It sounds like a pretty logical, startup place. I
Right.
just don't have any experience with it to expand at all.
No, 100%.
But I do know that Etsy has a small listing fee, something
Mhm.
like 20 cents. What it is now, I couldn't tell you. But then also, normal processing fees, which literally any place is going to have those. They're all about the
Right.
same.
Mhm.
Um, and then also a portion of the sale.
Mhm.
So that's an additional fee with Etsy. So it's like a 20-cent listing fee, and then if it sells, there's another fee. So it will cut into margins. There's no doubt about that.
Mhm.
So, but again, I
And I
can't
believe you have
really compare it to Kofi.
and don't you have to I believe you have to set up tax rates too, because I know there's some websites, like I sell Lego on Bricklink. Bricklink now takes care of collecting state taxes if you sell to a different state. So they'll take that out of your cut as well. I don't know if Kofi does that. I just charge a flat Wisconsin because I'm in
Okay.
Wisconsin. I just
Yeah.
charge a 5.5%, and I deal with it on my end. But
Every
there is a
other
way to pass that on to
place,
the customer.
yeah, every other place that I've been on, it takes your location and does the taxation as necessary. Like in Pennsylvania, I'm only required to charge sales tax within the state, so it's pretty simple for me. It's
Mhm.
way more complicated for other people, and I have no idea, for Canada how that works. But
Right.
all of the websites, like the Etsy's, the Wix, the Shopify's, all do the taxation um, based on your location. Again, I can't speak for Kofi, but Momo probably could. I would imagine that they do. I can't imagine that they wouldn't.
That they do because I don't remember feeling overwhelmed by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think if I had to do it all myself, I would think that was an issue.
Yes.
So my guess would be that they do.
I agree with you. That kind of stuff like freaks me out. Pennsylvania thankfully makes it so easy because it literally, as long as they're in my state, I tax. If they're not, I don't have to worry about it. So that's fortunate for me.
I don't know if this will help what you're asking, Kim. I just had a sale to the UK,
Mhm.
and my listing fee for that item on Etsy was 20 cents. My transaction fee for the sale was $4.16.
Okay.
So that's what came out from Etsy from
Mhm.
those two. The sales tax and all that is already paid by the buyer, so that's already integrated into your
Right.
sale.
Okay.
So out of my sale, I paid the $4.16 and then 20 cents to list it.
Okay. And sorry, Momo, on Kofi, do
Mhm.
they do they take the sales tax off for you already?
You know what? I don't know, but I have made sales, I think, on there. So why don't I just pull it up?
Okay. I'm just trying to decide like which one do I commit to at this point,
I
or
will
do I
say
do
this,
both? Yeah.
like with both of them, I don't think it's going to hurt you to set it up unless
Right.
if you make a listing and you make it live, you pay 20 cents and that's going to leave it there. I think it's 3 months, but you look at the terms. And
Yeah.
if you don't want it to auto renew, you don't have to. And you could never sell anything again. Etsy never gets anything else other than the
Yep.
20 cents.
I
pretty
still have an Etsy.
Ko-Fi does similar too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have an Etsy
So-
store. So yeah.
I'd play with it if I was even just make it up. And you don't even have to make a listing go live
Mm-hmm.
to play with it. And I'm pretty sure Momo can answer, but I think Ko-Fi, whatever, is very similar in
Ko-fi,
how that does
Ko-fi.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have drafts. I'm looking at a keychain that was purchased.
Mhm.
So I see the purchase price and I'm seeing, oh, sorry about that. Okay, I see the purchase price, the shipping fee, and the total paid, and I'm not seeing any fees, which makes me think that Ko-Fi covers it in the gold membership.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure, but that's what I can see on my end.
Okay. All good information.
Ratsky, I think that question just got answered with breaking down the breakdown from Janie. I'm just like looking through questions. Daria, you asked about Shopify and Wix. Yeah, I have so Moses Hoses, which is right here. This is a Shopify website. And then if I go to Moco Made and also DMed, they're both Wix websites. So I have experience building both. I have experience operating both for years. I quite frankly don't think one is better than the other. I've heard most people say that Wix is easier than Shopify. I don't know that I agree, but I also started with Shopify. So perhaps me doing the harder one first made Wix, but once you do one, they're pretty easy. I personally think it's, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. And it comes down to, like a lot of things, like with editing software and what clicks in your brain better. What clicks faster. And I do think that it would be useful to have a workshop on this at a different time, because that is a question that has been brought up to me, specifically from Kim, but other people as well, about which one. So yeah, I do have both. No, you don't need a Shopify. Or for one brand, yeah. So like you don't need a Shopify at all. These are just e-commerce stores, basically. Shopify is one big one. Wix is another. Like places where you set up your own e-commerce store. You have to purchase your URL from a domain provider like GoDaddy, and then Shopify and or Wix does the hosting for you, so you don't have to do anything more than that. You just say, I own this domain, this is the one I want, and it hosts it for you. That's part of the part of the charge per month in operating through Shopify and Wix is them hosting your website and keeping it live and securing it, which are things you would have to do individually if you were building, like, I don't know the proper terminology, but building like a website from literal scratch rather than from an e-commerce platform, which we've also kind of done. Like I also have an account for payment processing, because that's a whole other story. The person who originally developed our first website didn't really know what he was doing. So we could have just had integrated processing, but instead had a third-party source do it. And that's kind of how you build from scratch. You have your own payment processor. You do your own hosting, you do your own design work with code, but this makes it like super easy, and more like click and drag kind of stuff than it is any kind of coding. So yeah.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, if you're only doing drops like every 3 to 4 to 6 months or whatever it may be, if you set up a website, like the minimum on Shopify is $29 plan, right, per month. So if you're only doing a drop every 3 to 6 months, and that's when you're mainly getting your sales, you're still going to be paying those fees unless you turn off Shopify whenever you're not doing the drop. So
that's
just
definitely
something to think about. Like those,
yeah,
$30 can kind of add up over time.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And quite frankly, that's a point you bring up that makes me wonder if Moses Hoses shouldn't even be a website anymore. Not that we're not operating, not that we're not in business, but most of what we do, people already know us. They reach out to us. We do their order, and then once in a while we do a batch release. And lately we've been too busy with trying new products to even worry about a batch release in the first place. So yeah, I'm at maybe that crossroads with Moses Hoses. I am. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And a reason that maybe a Shopify Wix is not your way. It's not the way for you as an artisan. That's something to consider. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Momo. Like it has its place. It's just Boyd does bring up a good point. If that's the only way you're gonna sell, then maybe you don't want to commit to the $30 a month to run that website. But again, it is a landing place for people. It helps you be seen, especially as streamers. Like one thing I've noticed as streamers, and this goes back to even when we were brand new and not, don't have the viewership we have now. Activity on our socials went through the roof and still are. Like just because we are live so much on the internet at this point that it's adding to the algorithm, and we're just getting a lot more clicks than we ever did before. People are coming to the page. They might not say anything in your chat, but they see you. They see your stream. They say it looks interesting. They see people chatting. Then they want to go click through your stuff. And then you never know. Sometimes it leads to a sale, or it leads to follows on your Instagram where they'll now see when you're posting about product being available. So I've just noticed that just being live on the internet, like remember, those live views that you get at the end of every stream tell you how many people were there. And the unique view says that's how many unique individuals were in your stream that day. And each one of those people has the potential to be a new customer and click on your links and get interested in what you're doing. And I've noticed that just even from the basic beginnings of streaming, content or our activity going way up, even on something like Moses Hoses, which is a very niche product that like 99% of our viewer base has no interest in because they don't smoke hookah. So it's definitely good. Like I struggle to find a reason to not have a website, but Boyd does bring up a good point that you have to consider, that cost and whether that would be worth it for you, and that maybe that is a reason to stay on something like Ko-fi or Etsy for longer than we did. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a good point. One other thing I do want to bring up, like, so I'm on the Moses Hoses website right now. If I go to our product, so like make everything super easy to be seen, especially when it's a batch. The last thing you want, people are going to be upset, all right? Like and I said this at the beginning, not everyone's going to be happy. You will never, ever make every one of your customers happy. You won't, no matter how you do things. But the batch release, like, build up and anxiety that goes with it for you and your customers will lead to some people just being pissy. It will. That's a fact. But the last thing you want for them is to be confused as to where this was even happening. So like we have like, this is all of our hookah products. Make it so that everything that's going to be released can be easily found on one page. Like I know Boyd did that. So like you see how we have everything separated right now. We have grips, hoses, mats, whatever it is. On the day of the release, have a subcategory that's batch release. Or if like a lot of this stuff sold out, quite frankly, I need to be removing this stuff. Don't have stuff on the site that's, clogging it up so you can't see what's there. You know what I'm saying? So like the one thing I would suggest, and I think is a good idea, is to have a section for the batch release products so that it's tagged as batch release, so that they come here and you can let them know this beforehand and like leading up, because you'll be live before it goes live, right? and you go here and it'll say batch release, and they can just be there on the page. There'll be nothing there, and they can just when it goes live, they can refresh, and everything will be there that they want to see. You know what I mean? So
they're also like, I think bringing up your website and like showing people how to get to the batch release items.
Yep.
You know, like before maybe it drops, right?
Yeah, and that was something that you did. And like the thing, I know something that that Shopify and Wix does is and I know you did this and we've done it on our batch releases, is it shows the live visitors, which is just cool. Like seeing that number and seeing it go up is both, I mean, it's a wild experience is the only thing I can describe it as. It is so many different emotions that I can't just sit here and say it's this or it's that. And I know Boyd felt those emotions. Like it's anxiety, it's excitement, but people see that number going up and they might go there just to add to that number, even if they're not interested in purchasing. Now you have more people there. Now people are looking at maybe it was 5 people before, but now it's 25 people. Now they're like, wow, I might not get what I want. I got to make sure I'm there. You know what I mean? And now there's 35 people, 40 people, because they're building off of each other's anxiousness leading up to the batch. You know what I mean? And that is what helps generate, the hype and the anticipation that drives sales. Because at the end of the day, we're super passionate as makers, but the point of batch releases is to drive sales. So yeah, make it easy for it to be found. And because you're live on the internet, go ahead and show them how. Like Boy was saying, show them how to get there. Even in the streams leading up to it, just do a quick little 5-minute, like, here's how it's going to work. Here's where you'll see the items available. Let me take you through that so that you can see everything. Oh, by the way, if you want to check out faster, good to make an account so that you can save all your information. Now you have their account and they're signed up on your website and more likely to purchase. So like things like that. Reiterate that you can do those things on when you have your own website. Those are the benefits of something like that. So now you have them signed up as an account. Most likely, if they're signing up an account, they're going to opt into a newsletter, so they give you permission to use their email to send you updates, which we have and quite frankly haven't used. But like these are things that you can do to start being able to reach your customer base in ways outside of your normal network. I'm just catching up on some of the things in the chat. Can't know if it'll sell, how fast it'll go. Yeah, you don't want to. The last thing you want, because there will be people that are frustrated, is them to be frustrated because they couldn't figure out, how to buy or where to purchase or where the stuff was going to drop. Like, let them know it can't be seen right now, but as soon as I hit this button, or you time it so that it goes live at a certain time, you'll see it there, and they just have to refresh. So yeah, all good points. Yeah, I think that was all I have on that. Like again, something that Janie had brought up to me was somebody wants to purchase something before. What do I tell them? They have to wait. You're going to make more people unhappy by selling something ahead of time to one person that maybe 5 others were waiting patiently to try to buy. See you later, guys. See you, Ratsky. See you, Saki. I appreciate you guys being here. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there were 5 people that wanted that product, but now you just sold it ahead of time, and now you have 5 customers that are unhappy because one person got what they wanted ahead of time. So don't favor anybody, and I've seen this happen. Like, I don't have legitimate proof, but I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with other artisans in the hookah world where they caved to their loyal customers, and they said they had 10 products going available, and then the batch release happened and there were 7. And it's like, wow, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? There was already not a lot of product, and now there's 30% less than what there was supposed to be. So don't do that. Let them know that you're willing to remake something, but that there will be an upcharge. The batch release items, they're already made. They were slightly discounted. yes, I'll remake that, but there will be an upcharge. There'll be a wait time for customs. There'll be an upcharge for it custom made to order. But also, because you are doing that, I can change a couple of things. You know what I mean? Has on stream alerts and Twitch chat alerts. That's cool. I didn't know that. And I never knew about the Shopify plugin, Boyd. That was something new that I'd seen you implement that I didn't know before. But yeah, Ko-fi sounds pretty good. I just don't know enough about it to add on or discuss. It's not something I have any experience with, so I have to rely on the people who do. That was an awesome addition to your batch release, Boyd, that we've never done.
Yeah, you know, again, it's all about like how do you build the hype, how do you get, you know, everybody excited, and I just kind of felt like that was just one extra, you know, thing that added to it.
It's people being able to celebrate with you. Exactly. It becomes a party and a hangout and a celebration of you as the artist, but a celebration of the customers being able to feel, being able to feel like they were genuinely a part of something bigger than just what they bought. And it's just a really, I mean, it's one of our greatest streams was we sold out a batch release and then we played Gang Beasts right afterwards the rest of the day. And it was just this giant party where the energy was so overwhelmingly positive that it was hard for people to not want to be there, even though we were doing something like that. We don't, at that time we did gaming on Fridays, but like this was the middle of the week. We're just like, fuck it, this is a party, we're playing Gang Beasts, we're gonna beat the crap out of one another and laugh our asses off. And we did that the whole day after the batch release. and like it was one of our best streams, and from that period of our stream. And yeah, it's an experience. It's an experience that has a lot of different emotions, and it's not a guarantee that it will go well. But because of all these things that we're talking about and discussing, there's a lot more reasons why it would go well, or why I think it can go well for artisans, and especially the ones that stream. But it really for any, I mean, I was doing this before we were streamers. And the other hookah artisans that did it with me and did other things around me, they were all successful building their businesses, their artisan businesses this way without streaming. You don't have to be a streamer. It's just that we're in this streaming kind of led environment on Twitch. So it helps. Also, I saw like way earlier, Momo, I'm realizing I didn't answer. Like, is it okay to have similar items? Absolutely. You can have 5 of the same thing. Like we did a, this was last Pride Month, but we had just done a batch release, but we also wanted to, show that we stand as an ally. So we released a batch of just 5 Pride hoses. And we also made those available, like if we sold them out, to just keep making them as the orders came in, because we wanted to be supportive of Pride Month. But like, yeah, you can have 3 of this item and 2 of that. Like Boyd, even though each one of his cups was different, there were still similarities in them. You know what I mean? There was the mixed wood, and then there's same tone wood kind of cups. So yeah, you can you absolutely can have similar products, same products. A lot of the time, even when you're doing the same ones, they're not going to be exactly the same. But yeah, you can. It's all that's the freedom that you have.
Crazy Cats makes a really good point as well too, of like having items that people can just buy in order to actually support. So having something a little bit more affordable as well too.
I agree. That's a great point, Crazy Cats, and that's a perspective of someone who is strictly a Twitch viewer and customer of ours. Yeah, different price points depending on what you make. That's a little bit harder, depending on, like for us, the hookah hoses are all kind of the same price. But like if and when, more so when than if at this point, like we do a release for Moco, we'd have that flexibility to, you know, to do that variety. And that's a really good point. Don't have everything at $100. Have some that are $15, $20 and up over $100. Like have, you know, meet different people's you know, ability to support in different ways. That's a really good point and a great perspective. Congrats on 500 followers, Pezzy.
You guys may like do some keychains or something, right? And like just getting people to add stuff to their cart and get them like thinking about starting to check out. Maybe all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I don't just want a keychain. Maybe I want, you know, whatever else it may be too, and start adding multiple things. And
yeah,
you know,
or the like that. I
50,
think it's even
75
more
dollars.
likely to happen the opposite way, where like, you know, I have a tumbler in my cart, but you know what? I'm already getting the tumbler. I might as well just get a keychain. You know what I mean? It could go both ways on that. So yeah, I'm recording Crazy Cats. I'll post this to YouTube. And thank you for that perspective. So yeah, I think that's a great point. Like having those different items, and like something like a keychain doesn't have to be, you know, so cutthroat as, you know, there's only 3 available because it's a keychain. Let's be real. This doesn't have to be only this one cup available, you know. So there's people who will be the person who might be dissatisfied with the fact that they didn't get what they want. There's still something there that everyone can get, kind of thing. We're done within 5 feet of the checkout. Yeah. 10% of daily sales. That's crazy. Yeah. I agree. Found $5 earrings, got a lot of people interested, and then they buy multiple earrings and then look at more stuff. That's a good point, Pezzy. Good point. All of these are, you know, this is why I wanted to do this. I love how many people came in here today. I appreciate you guys. I honestly had no idea. I know Kim and Janie wanted to have discussions with me, but I didn't know beyond that who would be interested in this. So I want to be doing this more often for a variety of different things, and I think this is super helpful.
I think even just having like this got me kind of thinking about just having just general stream meetings, just having general shop meeting, anything that you can kind of just talk about and get other people's views on, because like I'm new, I'm just learning how to get this going, and do I want to actually get into like doing batch selling and those types of things, because right now I'm just doing it for fun. I enjoy hanging out with people,
Right.
But then now I'm getting more and more people asking me the more things I show, so it gets to that point where you're like, well, is this something that I do want to do?
yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And that's why, like, I originally made this VC in the Discord for people who were working and just wanted company. You know, just someone to talk to, or not even talk, but just like feel like you had someone there. Yeah, like someone there that you could just say hi to, or if you even wanted to show what you were doing so that the people could see it. That was the original reason I made this, and I still want it to be used for that from time to time, and I'm going to try to be better about that myself, especially when I'm doing things that I want to put my head through the wall, like design work, right, Kim? But I do see this being like a bi-weekly thing where maybe we just get together here and just kind of, you know, whatever is on our mind related to making, just kind of have a powwow about it and chat about it, and maybe ask questions, or we come to an idea that there is something we don't understand, and then we leave the powwow and come back with resolutions. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's I think that could be a great thing moving forward for, you know, our community of makers. So
and
I
or
like the
having
idea.
a featured specific day of like someone who's woodworking or pyrography, or, you know,
absolutely, we can change it up. We have you know, that freedom to be able to do that. So I want to make this more regular, about a variety of different things. I've already seen 2 topics at least that sort of came up in this powwow that can be done in a whole other powwow on its own. So I kind of want to make this a bi-weekly. I think a bi-weekly event would probably be pretty good, even if there isn't a topic of discussion. Just let's get together for an hour, 2 hours, however long it may be, and just chat about what it is we're doing in the maker streaming space and questions, and you know, just grow together and learn things together, because that's what we're doing live on stream too. But sometimes maybe with clearer minds when we're not live on stream.
And this is much more direct, right? Chat is hard to sometimes communicate through.
Right.
But I think it would be a great idea, Dare.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I don't know if Janie is still here, but do you have anything like practical for her that we could like go through? I mean, her drop is on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah. So Janie, where do you stand on the product for your batch? Like, is it done?
All but 2, and they will be finished tomorrow.
They'll be finished tomorrow, and it's
Out
on
of 10.
It's on the 15th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the one thing for you, Janie, is I would get to posting right away, like today. Even if you wind up reposting some of what you have, just get to posting some of it. Start letting people see the product. Because I think you said that you were behind on that before.
Well, that was one thing I have not figured out. That was one thing I was going to talk about today. I honestly didn't even think about using my Etsy. I just haven't even done that. I've got a whole Wix site that's I've been playing with for a while, but like you were pointing out, I don't want to just make a site just for batch releases.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So I guess I'll use Etsy.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that as a possibility. So.
I mean,
yeah.
Etsy is just easy, and you're like 4 days away at this point.
Right.
That's
the
only
thing.
You just need to think about, and I did mine like 30 minutes after. I think I started the stream, and then 30 minutes afterwards it went live. And I think like showing the product beforehand, I may even move it to like an hour after I start stream, and then make things go live. So, you still have the whole process of like taking the pictures, writing the descriptions, and posting. But after that, start to think of how you're going to execute that actual drop, right? And on Etsy, I think it's pretty easy. You'll just like, whenever the time is, you just select all the products and make them live, right? And that will manually do it. So it's some strategy on how to actually go through with it whenever the time comes as well.
Yeah.
And I think Etsy's pretty easy.
I think I wouldn't recommend 30 minutes. Like Boyd did. I would go at least an hour.
Yeah, I agree.
We did 2 hours, I think. It's hard for me to remember exactly, but I think we did 2 hours. And the reason I say 2 hours is I feel like the reason we say that, and this is, more stream advice than anything, but we've always said that our opinion is you should go at least 4 hours when you stream. And the reason we say that is because it takes 2 hours for majority of your regular viewers to get in.
Yeah.
And if you're not live for 2 more hours after that, you're just hurting your metrics with the people coming in, because it takes time for everybody to get there. So the way you balance your metrics on streaming is you've got to give yourself enough time to make up for the slow beginnings, which literally every streamer, doesn't matter who you are, your quote unquote slow beginnings is relative to your level of streamer, right? So every streamer has a slow start, and what I've seen is, and this was especially apparent when we were trying to get partnered, is those first 2 hours, those first 2 hours, quite frankly, determine the average of your stream. Unless you get like a really big raid that balances out those first 2 hours, how quickly people come in those first 2 hours will generally dictate what your average is for a stream. And it would be crazy how much that influence could be, because we would have a slower start where, maybe 2 hours in we were at 70 people, which is, pretty close to the partner number, and we'd finish with over 100, but our average would be like 74. But because it took a little while to get to that 75 number, it would kill an average. So like, I think we've always recommended like a 4-hour stream, and we've recommended that because in our experience, it takes about 2 hours for most of your people on a regular basis to get in. And you want most of your people there when the batch drops. Whether they're going to purchase or not, they're still viewers of yours, which therefore they're supporters of yours, and you want them there to celebrate that with you. So I would recommend 2 hours would be my recommendation on that. But again, everybody has their own stream, their own community, they recognize their own trends, and you have to adapt and change things based on that. But I would definitely get your stuff, start posting it, even if you have to post multiple at once or multiple a day. We've had enough product at times where we've posted 3 individual hoses a day to make sure we fit them all in before the batch. So I would make sure you start getting the pictures taken and getting them posted, even if it is multiple a day or multiple of the cups with each other. Like, you could change it up. And then, as Boyd said, I wouldn't mess with the website at this point. It's too close to mess with something you're not totally comfortable with. And just get them up on the Etsy so that you're ready for that, and go from there.
So just a question about the Etsy. How do you, like you say, you're releasing them 2 or 3 hours after? Is there something where like you go onto Etsy and it says, okay, we're not going to make these live until X time?
You have to publish each listing that you create. So you can go in and save everything. Yeah. And as long as you don't publish it, it is not seen by anybody else but you.
You could select them all at once, though. So you could select like the 10 cups and have them highlighted so that right at 2:15, say the release is in 2 minutes, right at 2:15, you could hit the button publish, and that's when they'll all go live. On something like Wix and Shopify, quite frankly, I haven't set it up where they go live at a specific time, even though you can do that. I have gotten a lot of enjoyment out of hitting the button myself. So as I make a big deal on stream all the time about hitting the laser button or whatever button it might be, I get this certain kind of satisfaction out of being like, all right, are we ready? Are you sure we're ready? Like, we're gonna fucking hit the button right now. And that's just me. But on those websites, you can like that. Yeah, it's just fun. I don't know. It's just me. You guys know I'm an idiot.
Dare loves to push the buttons. Confirmed.
I like to push the buttons, and I like to push other people's buttons. But on those websites, you can set it up so that on 6/11 at 2:15 p.m., it'll go live. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand. I know not everybody streams as long as we do, and that's why my advice is not always able to be, just taken for what I'm saying and applied to what you do. Everybody at the end of the day has their own brand, their own stream, their own products, and they have to do what's best for them. It's just the 4 hours is what we started with, and when we started with those 4 hours, we didn't know that was a good time. Like, not at all. We didn't have a clue about what we were doing with streaming. It was the 4 hours was determined more upon the fact that, like, this is how much work we want to get done, so we need this much time. Because 4 hours was like long enough for me to settle, stream, sew a hookah hose. That's kind of how that was determined. More so than anything. But as we grew and then we moved to 6-hour streams, which was like a month or two in, we just noticed these trends. Like the first, and this is just a general trend, the first 2 hours is everybody coming in. The second 2 hours is like settling to what most likely will be your average for that stream. And then the last 2 hours, you kind of go up over that average, which balances out the first 2 hours of everybody coming in. So you're generally the middle 2 hours of a 6-hour stream are probably where your average is going to be without any crazy thing happening with Twitch, your stream, or a major raid. That's just been our experience.
Mhm.
Doing 3 light boxes. Light box. Oh, that's a big. I'm glad you brought that up, Hezzy. Everybody should own a light box. I know Kim just got one. You should own a light box. If you're like me and you hate taking pictures, get a light box, because you can just throw your product in there, turn the lights on, use your cell phone, and you have a perfectly fine picture for selling your product. It's not the
I will
perfect.
say, yeah, I do absolutely love my. It's a newer light box.
Yeah.
It's great. Has just the right amount of lighting. It's not super expensive. I think I got the one that you said that you have, that Devin has, Derek.
The bigger
That's
one.
the one that I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bigger one's
And
nicer.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely nicer. In fact, I'm glad she bought that one because mine's smaller. So I have my small one at home. You know, it's totally functional for most of what we have to, photograph. But once in a while, I just set up hers while we're on stream and I take some photos of some bigger stuff. Yeah, you could build your own, as Daria said. And Momo, I saw you got one. Awesome decision. Like literally, like you can't. I can't explain how much a light box has simplified my life as an artisan, because I do not like taking pictures. I don't. Because the product's already sold, usually when it's custom. So it's like, I just need to get this shipped and I need to move on to what's next. But you gotta take pictures of your stuff. Devin never takes any pictures. I take all of them. So yeah, it's a game changer. Like, see these photos that I took, like, propped up. This is in a coffee table that has a glass top on it, and I mocked these up. And not my best work as a photographer, but I liked the way to be able to, especially like this Pokemon one, to mock it up. But holy shit, did this not take me a long time. And it was worth the time, but also only because I didn't have something else I needed to be getting done. It took forever. It took forever to just get everything in there, grab all my stuff, prop it up right, get the lighting somewhat decent, and get these photos. So Lightbox, huge time saver, and most of us are making things that are small enough for Lightbox.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned it there, but like just the time it takes for all of these different steps that's involved in a drop, just not just making the product, but taking the pictures for 10, 15, 20, whatever your number is going to be. And if it's maybe 2 to 4 pictures per product, then maybe you're going to edit them a little bit and make them look a little nicer. And then you have to upload them, and then you have to write the descriptions. And then it's just like so many different steps. So, I mean, I know for my first one for sure, I had scheduled a date and thought that was going to be good. And then all of a sudden that date came and I was like, well, I haven't made enough, don't have any inventory or anything's ready. So it takes a lot of time to do all of this. So don't underestimate how much time all of this takes.
Yeah. In fact, my recommendation as far as that's concerned would be, don't set a date until you're like a good ways through the product that you had set in mind. And whatever that may be, 5, 10, 15, 20, like whatever number it might be, maybe it's a dollar figure you're looking to make. So you work it out that way. Don't even think about a date until you're, pretty much there, I would say. Maybe not all the way there, but say, batch release coming up soon. Date to be determined. Stay tuned for details. Make people want to check in, like, when is the batch release? I don't know. I'm thinking probably in a couple weeks, but I should know more next week. Give them a reason to talk about it and keep asking about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But also that also doesn't put yourself in a position where, I want to have 20 things ready in 2 weeks, and then the 2 weeks you have 10 and you're pushing it back instead. because that actually will kind of take the hype down a notch rather than build upon it. So just don't put a date out there till you're definitively ready, and let people ask, because that's what you really want. You want people asking about your batch release. You want people asking about the product that's going to be available for it. You want people, to start generating that hype for you simply by being present and wanting to ask about it. So you can do that in ways by not setting anything set in stone, but then people are like, well, what's going on? That's an awesome looking light box you built, Daria. I did not build mine, but that one looks very, very nice. Yeah, I hate pictures, Pezzy. I hate picture taking. I literally bought my DSLR camera because out of college, I was like, I'm going to get into photography. Or maybe it was out of high school. I don't remember exactly. And I can count on one hand how many times I actually took that camera out to quote unquote do photography. And I don't even use that camera anymore for our pictures. Anything that's photo booth, like any of this mocked up stuff in the coffee table, any of this stuff that's like legitimate photo booth photography like this, I've used that camera, but that's the only time I use it. Yeah, I agree, JD. I freaking agree, dude. I hate it so much.
I don't use a light box.
Yeah, but you don't have a light box, but you set yours up that's almost lightbox-esque.
I use the streaming lights, yeah.
Yeah, where you have a dedicated place where you just have to place the product in and boom, take the shot. The lighting is good and you're good to go. That is the equivalent of a light box, in my opinion. Without it being a physical box, it's just a light box is generally easier for people, and it can be moved more easily and even taken down. Like mine just folds into like almost like a portfolio briefcase looking thing, and I can carry it with me. Yeah, you got to take the shots.
Yeah, to Boyd's point, you have to. If you don't have anything to show anybody, then they're gonna be like, oh, yeah, okay, so what am I buying, right?
Yeah. You it's a necessary evil. Well, depending on who you ask. Like I've had this conversation with Oosh, and she's like, but you should just send them to me. I love taking pictures. I'm like, Oosh, it's not that easy. When you talk to a photographer, they're like, how can you not like taking pictures though? And they're so pretty. And I'm like, because I made the product with my bare hands and I'm tired. But yeah, it's you got to take pictures. They have to be good enough to show off the hard ass work you put into making them, right? You didn't work your ass off to make a handmade high-end good only for it to not sell because it doesn't look good in a picture. You do have to take the time, but the light box for me has taken out so much of that time. Just even like I'm proud of the picture I have up on my screen. I'm proud of that picture. It's not perfect. Taking lighting with glass is especially hard for an untrained photographer like myself. But great looking picture. But I get the same result on my sales if I just put this in a light box and with my cell phone, as far as will it sell type of thing. So yeah, this kind of picture, so much better for looking good on your Instagram. But at the end of the day, when you just, when it comes push to shove, will it sell? Whether I did this, and there's actually another photo that's a close up, whether I do something like this or whether I just curl this up in a light box and take a photo, it hasn't affected my sales. It hasn't. So, and I did these at a time when I would convince myself that it was necessary. Like that this kind of photography, the extra work was necessary. And I just don't think that it is in most cases.
I mean, you have too many distractions, and all of a sudden, people may not know what they're buying. And there's definitely a reason why on Amazon they want you to only have the product and a white background, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else.
Yep. And that's where I do most. Sometimes I put a black background, but most of the time it's just white background, just cell phone, boom, done. And I think that's good enough, in my opinion.
To the point of Albatross, it is sometimes hard to show scale. Like, for example, for Miami's, like if you just put it on a white background, like it could either be, 10 feet or it could be 3 inches. So how would we combat something showing scale? Like for Dara, I'm looking at your Instagram and you have all your tags. Like how would you show scale on that? I know reading the description is one thing, but let's be honest, there's been multiple times I've bought things and not read the description.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get that. Use common items, but also like common items that add, if you want to be super straightforward with it, coins, stuff like that, stuff that everybody recognizes as, I understand what size that is. That's one way. If you want, now that's not necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing way, but that doesn't need to be your main photo either.
Right.
So you can do something that's aesthetically pleasing where you add something from the garden or something, like something that's recognizable but also looks good with what you're selling. But you don't have to make that your main photo. You can make that your secondary photo that just, straightforward, here's a quarter next to what I'm selling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because generally, like you said, people won't always read through descriptions, or usually they won't read through descriptions, but they almost always flip through the pictures.
Right.
So that would be my suggestion for something like that. And it's aesthetically pleasing would be ideal, but I'm these days much more in the straightforward, whatever works kind of mode.
Right.
Crayons, because coins and different stuff. Okay, that's a good point, Pezzy. I understand that. As Kim here is from Canada, so that does make sense. And we're in a very international environment in general, being on Twitch. Well, I've been fortunate where my environment was always kind of international because hookah is a very international hobby. And then I came to Twitch where the viewers are all pretty well spread out. So I've never not been surrounded by people from all over. But you bring up a really good point. Yeah. Something that's more recognizable beyond a currency.
True.
Even if it's a ruler.
Yeah.
Well,
even
on that there, have you sold internationally for your drops, and how
always
do you handle the shipping and stuff?
Yeah. I've we used to do free domestic over $100, which was a hookah hose. We had to stop. We were killing ourselves on that. And then the international, it's just they pay for the shipping. That's all. It's no different, except that they had to pay for the shipping. And like one thing, I actually mentioned this, I think maybe on stream the other day. I'm not exactly sure where I mentioned it. I talk a lot. But we have
you.
Really? I would have never guessed.
I thought you were so quiet.
But like one of my customers is from Saudi Arabia. Is the only customer I've ever had from Saudi Arabia. Don't know, and we're talking from hookah, where almost every single one of my customers I've known on an impersonal level because we came from the same group on Facebook. Where I at least met these people, and I say that in quotations. So I at least knew who they were. But I have this one customer. He's never spoken to me personally. He's never reached out for custom orders. I've never had a conversation with him. But every time I do a drop release, his name is there, and he's trying to buy them, and he's usually trying to buy more than 3. And it's all the way to Saudi Arabia. And I even sent him a message in the last time that he purchased just to thank him, because it was the only way I could converse with him. And I still didn't even hear anything from him. But like, I guarantee, rest assured, if I did a batch release tomorrow, he would be there. He always has been. And he's never been deterred from the shipping. And the thing that I've learned is, if you make a quality high-end good, and you just focus on that quality, people are going to be willing to pay. They will. And you just have to rely and trust your quality. Because I've had people, I've legitimately had this happen. Someone from Germany contacted me. He first asked me to teach him how to sew my hoses, because he then wanted to turn around and sell my hoses in Germany because they were too expensive for his German friends to buy and have shipped there. And I was like, you're kidding, right? Like, this is a joke. Like, I'm all about helping people, but you literally want to copy my brand because you don't want to pay $20 for shipping. And he made exactly, I think, 3 hoses before he stopped. And you just rely on your quality and rely on maintaining that quality, and people will buy. They will. Because guess what? Their friends might buy some of the cheaper stuff that's being copied or sold or whatever. And then they're like, wow, this isn't the same. And then you wind up getting that purchase anyway. And some of my first customers were from Germany. One of my very first ones bought 3 right off the bat. Like, and it was that acknowledgement that not only were they willing to pay for the product that was already expensive, but they were willing to pay to have it shipped to them. And yeah, they're going to pay more, but as long as you focus on your quality and being the best you can be, it's likely they're not going to find something else to replace you. And you just have to try to be the best you can be so that you are that person. And then, maybe you lose some sales to international because that extra $20, $30, whatever it may be, it becomes not worth it. But a large majority of those people are going to wind up still purchasing. They will, over time. Maybe not right away, but over time, as you build a reputation, as you continue to succeed, and as your reputation for quality, precedes yourself, if it precedes meeting you or understanding you or ever having your product, more and more of those people will become willing. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Well, and on shipping too, Dare, I think something that's really difficult is, or something you also need to keep in mind is, if oh wait, did I get muted?
You're here. I hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, make sure that you have all your shipping boxes, right? So if you're gonna sell whatever items you're gonna sell, make sure that you have that amount of shipping boxes and your label paper and everything, right? Because if you sell the products on a Wednesday or something, it can take a few days to get everything out, but you definitely don't want to be like, oh, well, I don't have a box to ship this in. Yeah. All of a sudden, you need to order boxes. It's going to take a few days to get in. So, having that back end stuff ready to go as well, I think is important.
Yeah. And on the topic of international shipping, there are things you can do that will help your customers. And like that, first of all, I will most likely never insure anything. That's my opinion, and everybody has their opinion to that and their prerogative. If you insure, what I've found is that whether or not you insure, you have a fight on your hands that will spend so much more time fighting for the insurance that you paid for than you would if you just remade the product itself with
100% agree.
significantly less frustration in the end, even if you're redoing it. So I don't think it's worth it. And Devin has even repainted stuff. And I've even had someone claim that their package was stolen from their doorstep. Now, I think they were lying. And I stood my ground that I did my part. I made the product. I showed you that it was finished. I sent you high quality pictures. I packed it. I shipped it. I gave you a tracking number that said it was delivered to your doorstep and you didn't receive the product. That's on you or the shipper, but not on me. And I stood my ground on that with that person. And guess what? They wound up purchasing 3 more. So I suggest that. And I put a big caveat on that because I don't want anyone to take my advice and then feel like they got screwed. That's just my opinion on it. But then the other thing is, and this goes for international orders, there are things you could do as small artisans to help your customers that are receiving things abroad. One of them is not valuing the package as highly as it actually is. Is that exactly the law? No, but also like you're shipping a one-off item and you're not shipping, like you can't, if you're shipping a pallet of something or you're shipping a big box of stuff, you can't really lie about what's in there. But like when you're shipping a one-off item, you can significantly help your customers by saying that $100 hookah hose is really a $10 hose. And I know that's a gray area, okay? You got to have your own comfort level. But I do it. I've been doing it for years. My boss in apparel manufacturing did it. Even when we had factories mostly in the Dominican Republic. So like we would now when we were shipping the actual goods, like when we were shipping a pallet of buttons, like I'm talking like jean buttons, like a pallet of them to the Dominican. You can't like not tell the full truth about what that is because you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And when we were shipping rolls of fabric, we couldn't lie about what that is. You're literally talking about thousands and thousands of yards of fabric and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product. But when we shipped like the sample stuff, meaning we were shipping 10 zippers here, five buttons there, a few yards of fabric to make a sample, stuff like that. Even my boss in large scale manufacturing, if that zipper was $1, it was 10 cents on the package. So I actually learned that from her before I was ever really shipping my own goods. So when you're shipping something that's one-off or that's small, just don't value it at what it actually is, because your customer might get a $100 hookah hose and then pay $100 in customs fees for it. Now you've given them a reason to not buy from the States. But if that $100 hookah hose is valued at $5 or $10 and they pay a few extra dollars, that's no big deal. And that helps them out significantly. So I always label the international packages that are like that as a gift, and I devalue the what's actually in them. That's a gray area. Everybody should have their own comfort level for what they want to do with that. I've been doing it for years. My boss has been in the apparel industry for, I don't even know, probably longer than I have been alive, who I learned it from. So I mark it as a gift. I devalue it. And also I get very nondescript about what it is. And that part came from me shipping something that's somewhat controversial depending on where you're shipping to, like hookah hoses, tobacco related product. They're trying to ban shit everywhere, right? So I don't call it a hookah hose. It's a leather wrap tube. Be nondescript. The 3D, I'm not sending out 3D printed Dino Dicks and Vagisauruses. You know, I'm sending a 3D dino. I'm sending a 3D, you know, a 3D dino. That's it. Like be as nondescript as possible, so that there's less questions. If you get descriptive, you wind up raising questions, which makes them want to look at what's inside, which, you know.
On a shopping note of sides, if I get something, it's valued high, and then I have to pay customs on it, I'm less likely to continue shopping with that person.
Exactly. That's the point I'm getting at. You're helping your customer out by not paying, so that they don't wind up paying as much, but more so you're incentivizing them to buy from you and not find someone local instead the next time, because that is the kind of thing that will kill your international sales. If I valued $100 hookah hose and they have to pay $100 when it comes in, like, yeah, they're probably going to find someone in Europe to replace me. Again, this is very gray area stuff. You should only do what you're comfortable doing in business. But I've been doing it for years. I learned it from my boss, who's been doing it for decades. And as long as you're shipping, you know, not a big box of things and or even one-off things, this is going to be okay. Like, that'll work for you, and will save you your customers money, not save you. Save your customers money. It'll guarantee that things get through customs faster because they're gifts and not merchandise. And everybody winds up more happy. And then you get more customers because they'll tell their friends, and their friends will buy, and they'll be more likely to buy, as Kim said.
Does someone know? I'm seeing people talk about pirate ship. Does someone know what the Canadian version of that is called? Someone said it sometime, and I cannot remember what it is.
That I'm not sure. Pirate ship is great. It's free. You can ship through USPS and UPS through pirate ship. So I highly recommend pirate ship. I was actually going to switch to pirate ship, and then because I'm on Stamps, I was on Stamps before pirate ship was available. I pay $17.99 a month for Stamps.com, which is also USPS and UPS. But right around the time that I was thinking about shipping to pirate ship, we kind of hit a threshold where the dollar we save per packages with Stamps versus pirate ship actually, you know, we're making out paying the $17.99 for the cheaper rates. So I'm sticking to Stamps for now. That doesn't mean I won't switch off, but I don't know about a Canadian version, or maybe pirate ship has an international version. Kim, I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, I remember one of my viewers said something about they had mentioned pirate ship, and I said that it's US based because I went and checked it out, and she did say one that was Canadian based, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
exactly
I'm not
what
sure.
It is.
I haven't heard. That's another thing though, on the topic of shipping. USPS is going to be the cheapest. If something is under, so first of all, don't go to a store to ship something. Like, pirate ship is where you want to go. It's free. You just have to make an account. You could fill out all the information. Also, if you go to the store to ship something international and you try to do what I was talking about on the customs, they're going to ask you questions. You know what I mean? But when you come in with a pre-printed label that already says this is what's in there, it's all they got to do is scan it. They're not going to ask you questions. They're going to be like, wow, they made my day easier. I'm going to go ahead and scan this and move on to the next thing. You know? So you're actually removing a lot of the questions you would get, but also you're going to pay way more in the store for when something like pirate ship is free. Like, you're literally saving yourselves probably a few dollars per package by being able to have the label made on pirate ship. So get on pirate ship. Don't go to the store. USPS is the cheapest, especially if it's under £1. If it's under £1, you can pay first class, or not first. Is it first class? Yeah, first class. Yeah, which will be, you know, anywhere from $3 to $5. But if it's over a pound, then you have to pay priority shipping, which usually is $7 and up. Priority is guaranteed to be 2 days, whereas first class is 2 to 3 days. But if something is near a pound, let's say it's 1 pound and a few ounces, label that shit as 15 ounces. Don't label it as a pound and shoot yourself in the foot. Like, generally, they're going to they might weigh it and they might do a price adjustment, and you'll get an extra charge on your card through something like Pirate Ship or for me stamps. But like a large majority of the time, and like most of the time, if something's right around a pound or a little over a pound and you label it as 15 ounces, it's going to go through as first class just fine. And you saved yourself multiple dollars. So if you save yourself multiple dollars doing that several times over, I mean, you're saving yourselves tens of dollars over, you know, over weeks, and that starts to add up a lot. So definitely do that. A little over a pound, still probably cheaper to send USPS. But then if you start getting into the, you know, several pounds, you're probably going to want to start to compare your USPS prices to UPS prices. UPS will definitely wind up being cheaper at a certain weight. As for which weight, I can't tell you exactly. But yeah, definitely like use the fact that you have control to put the information on there to your advantage, and you don't always have to tell the full truth. It'll save you a lot of money and a lot of headache and make your customers a lot more happy.
Well, and the nice thing about those websites is you just plug in the box information and it spits out whatever is the cheapest right there at the top. So
yeah,
really
you'll be able to see all the rates right next to one another. Yeah. Maybe ShipStation is that. I actually use ShipStation too. When I was working in apparel, that was what our main client used. They used ShipStation. Not sure if that's the one though, but I have heard of it. That's way more industrial though. What I know about ShipStation is that it's very industrial, like not as useful for people of our size. But that could have just been the version that the people I was shipping for had because they were industry. You know, maybe there is a version of it that's not so crazy, but I'm not sure on that.
It integrates directly with PayPal now, so it's really easy to use PayPal invoices and ship it through ShipStation.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. I guess I never really even looked into ShipStation because my experience with it was for work, and when it was for work, we were dealing with, you know, a sizable company who was using it. Like it was our client. We were drop shipping for them. We were making their goods and then drop shipping for them. But they were a sizable client, so they were probably had maybe even an enterprise version. Like even Shopify and Wix have enterprise versions of their software. So it might have been something like that because it was like way too much for what, you know, we would need. But I don't know too much about it to know. Also, on the topic of PayPal, like don't send, for those of you new to selling and invoicing people, people will try to get you to do this, and they don't mean it maliciously most of the time, but they'll try to get you to send invoices as friends and family, like you're just transferring money between, you know, people you know, because there's no charge, there's no fees on that. And you'll just get yourself in trouble eventually. Usually people are doing it to avoid fees, and both parties wind up happier because you don't have the PayPal fees. But that's not really legal, first of all, because you're avoiding transaction fees for operating a business. And two, there's no PayPal protection for either party if something goes wrong. So let's say you do that, you save yourself fees. Now there's a problem with the product. The customer's unhappy. They go to PayPal. Now PayPal's looking at you as a business who charged his friend and family incorrectly. Now there's also a problem, but there's nothing to protect you because most of the fees through PayPal are just your standard, cost of business credit card processing fees. You can't avoid them. If you're doing business, you're going to have those fees. But then there's some of those fees help provide protections to both the seller and, the customer. So don't fall in that trap, even though it can be nice to save a few dollars on every transaction. Eventually you'll have one that goes wrong and you'll want that protection and you won't have it. We also did like another thing with the batches. I started doing this later in our time, but like I saved them as reels at the top. So like each of our batch releases is separated here based on the date that we were doing them. So you can wind up going through and seeing like all the posts from there permanently. So it's like a good idea to keep that stuff permanently up there because it winds up being a lot of content at once.
And then also you can have people want to go back and custom order those ones.
Yeah. Look, then this was our last batch release on Twitch. I packed them on stream, and it was it was a party. But yeah, it's good idea to post when you post to your actual Instagram, but also post to your story. Because what I've noticed is, like out of our 1,500, close to 1,500 followers on like Moses Hoses, our most likes are in the 40-50 range, but I'll get 150-200 views on the story. People are way more likely, even if it's by accident, because they're watching someone else's story and then it goes to yours next, to view your story than it is to view your post. And even if they wind up seeing your thing by accident, what if they wind up seeing it by accident, be like, wow, that's dope as hell. What is this about? So always like just repost what you post to your actual Instagram into a story. And then when it's related around a group like a batch, make sure before those run out that you add them to the reel. That way you have all your stuff saved. It's pretty cool to reflect back and see, like, I was actively sewing these. Devin was actively painting these. I was actively taking pictures of all of them. And here they all are in the process of however many weeks it took us, to make all this. It's good for you and it's good for your customers. Like Kim said, someone might not know what they want from you, but come back and see what you did and be like, wow, I want that. I know that was from 2 years ago, but like, can you remake that for me? And then you can, and you get to charge an upcharge for it for custom rather than, charging less for it like you did for the batch release. Like in these, I went way back. Like I went from the beginning of the processes.
Another idea, kind of maybe related, is someone told me this after, was that it would be cool to link the product, so whenever somebody buys something from the drop, be able to let them know exactly where to find the video or the VOD from when it was made, and link that up.
Yeah.
And on that too, the Crows told me about something. I don't know if you know this or anybody else, but the Crows were telling me that Philza saves he highlights his full VODs and saves them as highlights, and it permanently saves them on Twitch because they're highlights.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, but
yeah, you apparently I actually learned that recently too, and maybe it could have been the Crows telling me that. Actually, no, I know what it was. It was because most people couldn't be there for our whole 17-hour partner party, and had asked us to highlight it so that the whole thing was permanently on our page. I was like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that, which is amazing because I can't even post that whole thing to to YouTube as one video because it's too long.
Right.
So yeah, it's like definitely a really good a good thing that you can do. You can actually permanently have all of your VODs up on Twitch if you go through and highlight them. Now, I've kind of already committed to them being on YouTube, though they're not available to be watched.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but the important ones for sure. Like the batch release one, do that.
Like,
yeah.
A clip or two, from the batch releases maybe.
Yeah. Like I think that's a good idea for certain big like drops and stuff like that. Like like the drop releases are the partner party, big important moments in your streaming career or your making career. I think it's good for that. I don't know if I'd go through. I don't think I'm going to go through because I can't have the ones from long ago anyway. And make all of them like that. But yeah, it's definitely something cool that you can do that, it won't get deleted. So, yeah, I agree with that. Like it definitely did the partner party one. I personally, so we record all of our VODs while we're live. I then back them all up to an external hard drive, and then I double back that up to YouTube unlisted. So I have everything outside of a couple of streams and outside of the first week of streaming before I knew that I had to save VODs before we were recording. I have everything like double backed up, but I use a ton of internet to do that, which is why I get throttled every month. I use like 4.5 terabytes of internet data uploading VODs every month.
They're real pissed.
Yo, they get so mad. And I have unlimited data. I'm not being throttled like consciously. They're like subconsciously throttling me, and then it magically gets fixed every time I complain. So yeah, like that's the problem with that. You're going to use a lot of internet data. I have 1 gigabyte upload. I have FiOS, Big Baddie. I have FiOS, 1 gigabyte upload and download speed. I use 4.5 terabytes, anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 terabytes of data every month, mostly in uploading my VODs. And I'm not like consciously getting throttled, but I'll notice that my speeds are slow and I'll do a speed test myself and I'll be at 100 megabytes rather than 1,000. And yeah, so I just noticed that I get dinged. And then every time I am about to have an agent come out, they magically send me a text that says, "I think we fixed your problem. Can you check?" And guess what? It's fixed.
Surprise.
Surprise. Oh, I didn't even realize this was still going through.
That's okay. It's nice to see.
This is the last Hookah Expo we went to in Vegas. That's going through. Most of those pictures were our product that people had brought to the show that were in various booths, which is pretty cool to see. Like there's one of ours right in the middle there. This was during a competition. And there's another one during that competition. That one was like the turf of a football field. So we did green suede. So it was like the turf of a football field and then the football leather grip. So it was a pretty cool combo. I didn't realize this was going through. So yeah, that's how I back up things. But yeah, that is good information to be able to, because it's not possible to it's not possible for most to be able to back up all of their VODs to YouTube with internet speeds. And I spend days doing it myself with the internet speeds I do have. So yeah, it's one way to save them all. And the only reason I don't think I want to do it now is that I don't have, a year and a half worth already.
So they're just thinking like strategy stuff. Like say you do your drop, you're like 30 minutes in, maybe you haven't made any sales. What do you think? Like, are there any backup plans you should do? Like, should you have a coupon code ready where it's like, okay, and maybe you act like it's intentional, right? It's like, well, we're now an hour in and everybody now gets 10% off or something. Or do you just like stick with it and you try to, just continue to push it and I don't know. It's just you have this big
Yeah.
build up for the day, and yeah, you want it to go really well, but that's determined by other people in a lot of cases. So
Yeah.
how do you maybe handle a day that's not going so well?
That's a tough one. That's a really, really good question. The thing that you just threw out, I absolutely wouldn't do, because if anyone did purchase before, you just pissed them off, and they were the ones that
Yeah.
gave you the chance before that existed, right? So definitely not something like that. And we've had batch releases not go well. We've had, and this is the risk that's involved with doing a batch release, and especially doing one when you're live. You don't know how it's going to go, and there's that hype, and there's people asking for the product and this and that. So there's in all more than not likelihood that at least some sales are going to happen. But if it doesn't go well, like I definitely don't suggest like a coupon of sorts. I'm just kind of thinking about it myself. I think it's tough.
Can I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak a little bit real here too as well, just because I know that I don't have the same numbers as like you and Boyd. So if you do a batch release and your viewers are like 5 or 6, or maybe a little bit higher than that, it might be a little bit. You just have to keep your expectations tempered. I'm always a realist, so I always think this way to myself.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just saying it out loud. You have to
You do.
You can't expect to have like 5 or 6 people in your chat and then, sell out of everything that you have. So
Yeah.
just
And that's
kind of like that.
and that's
tempered
like a caveat in general to putting yourself out there in this expectation of doing a batch release, and especially of doing it while you're live in front of people.
Right.
You are taking a risk, and how big of a risk you're taking depends on how much you decide you want to make for that, right? So you want to as you're saying, temper your expectations. If it doesn't go well, then you learned a really important lesson. You learned maybe several important lessons. Maybe you didn't make the right stuff. Maybe you charged the wrong thing, or didn't make the right variety of different, as Crazy Cats was saying before, of different price points. Maybe you didn't give yourself enough time or put enough energy into promoting it. It's not necessarily a failure just because people didn't want the goods, but it could be a failure for other reasons as well. And you have to take the time to really self-analyze in a non-emotional way to figure out, one, is batch release just not for me? Or two, how do I do this so that it's better for me the next time that I do it? But yeah, it's as I was saying with Boyd earlier, it is so many emotions in one, and it's hard to even describe what those emotions are. Like, I was feeling those same emotions for myself watching it happen with Boyd, because I know that Boyd's doing it was a direct result of us, and this goes for anyone that's here that wants to partake in our community and that is supportive of us. Like, I truly care to see all of you guys succeed. I really do. So especially when something is a direct result of something we did, like, I felt those same damn nerves. I was standing up. I couldn't even sit at my desk when Boyd did his drop. And I said that in his chat, and I meant it. I wasn't just fucking around. Like, I meant it. And I know Devin, I think she just came in. She'll say the same. And and it's just true. It's a crazy experience, but
Yeah.
no matter how it goes, good or bad, it's worth trying at least once. You have to try. Nobody is successful doing the same thing over and over and over again. In business, in streaming, nothing. You have to change things up. You have to keep things fresh. You have to try new things, right?
I think for myself and
oh, sorry.
no,
ahead,
no,
Kim.
okay. I think some of the things that like when something like that, and this is just my opinion. If I were to, I don't want to call it a failure because I would use that as a learning experience. Well, okay, how do I get more people to my stream? How do I understand, what they want? How do I get those things to change so that going forward I don't have something go this same way?
100%.
Yeah.
I had a
You can
quick
either let it
thought.
get you down, or you can take it that way. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys talked about this, but to Kim's sorry, I just interjected. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. Hi, Deb.
Really quick, my thought was like Kim was like, well, I might not have the same viewers as Boyd or Moko or so and so, but maybe instead of creating as much product as Boyd did for a drop as big as his, you do less. Maybe you only say, I'm doing a drop of 3 items, and those 3 items go, and you're like, all right, next time I'll do 5.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong
Good
with
idea.
keeping customers waiting.
Yeah.
Like building up that anticipation for a drop of something that they may have wanted before. They're not going to go somewhere else because they're already invested in you as a person. They want that item from you.
Exactly.
So release 3 things. Be like, I put 25 hours into these 3 things, and this is what I want to drop.
Yeah, that's what I
If
said
they
earlier,
go-
like that the risk that you take is exactly and directly dependent upon the amount that you want to make. And if you're trying something new, like we've done as little, I was saying we've done as little as 5, and we've done as much as 25. It's all been depending upon the time that we had and the the risk, quote unquote, that we're willing to take. And
Totally.
if you're testing the waters, you don't have to make it so that it's something so big. It can be 5 items. I would probably go 5, but
Did you mention the Splatterhose thing? How we
Yeah.
release?
Yeah.
Release
I
2
s- I-
Splatterhose.
yeah, I'm glad you're bringing this up because I mean these are points that I brought up, but we're on the same page with this. It's like we threw in a couple of test items in a bigger batch release of normal items, and when those sold out, we did a whole batch of them the next. We tested the
And then we
waters,
did it.
and then we did it. Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, and then they didn't sell out.
Oh yeah,
So it's not like once you're successful once, that same thing is going to bring in the same success. And that's also something that's difficult to swallow, right? Because what's that noise?
Janie.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's
You
okay.
good?
I was torching. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
Those products ready.
But it's so true. If something sells out once and you are on top of the world, you're like, I'm gonna make 50 of them. You just can't set yourself up for like disappointment if it doesn't go, because markets change, people change their mind. I mean, how many of us have been commissioned for something and then you're finished and they're like, I want something different?
Yeah,
It happens a lot.
That
right?
was-
And it's
yeah, that was a good point. Like we had
It's
we had
all
thrown
learning
in like three splatters in a larger batch, and they sold out instantly. Everybody wanted them. Then we did a whole batch of splatters. Now some sold, and eventually all of them sold, but that batch did not go well, like we had thought it would, because we had already done some, but not a lot, and it like. Yeah, you just don't know, and that comes down to what I had just said, which is like nobody is successful doing the same thing over and over again in business, in streaming, in literally anything. You have to change things up. You have to keep things fresh. So there can never be this expectation that just because I did this once and it was successful, that I'm going to do it 25 more times and be equally as successful. And like, that's something that especially is apparent in streaming more than anything else. Like Streaming is just like adapting with the flow with the flow, and adapting to the vibe and maintaining a vibe despite like all these things changing and adapting, and just going with the flow and realizing that this has to change there, but we keep this, like, it's just a constant evolving thing. And yeah,
I think one of the other things too with like those types of things is people see it and they want it right in that moment. And when you don't give it to them, it's not the same hype by the time you actually get it back to them.
yeah,
Or a lot of people will say, I really, really want that. And then you reach out to them and be like, hey, do you want this? And then they're like, well,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Words, people use their words a lot more, which
Yeah.
is why I say to not like to, you know, at the end of the day, the batch release and selling product in general is about moving product and making money. That's not what all of making and art and streaming is about. But when you're trying and you're putting all this time and effort into making product, you have to move it and make money. That is the point at the end of the day. So it's yeah, you have to do that. You have to temper your expectations for what people say, because until they show up and do what they say, then those were just words.
Well, and another thing too is, you know, you build on that hype. Maybe if somebody really wants something, the next day you come back and you can invoice them and say, okay, it'll be ready in 2 to 3 weeks or whatever. And that way the money is already secured. You still catch them in that hyped up moment, but
Yes.
they have the understanding that it's not going to be ready for a while.
Yes, always, whatever your policy is, don't start working on something until you've talked about money and you've exchanged money. Like, don't put yourselves in that position. Like for us, it used to be 50% upfront, and then, you know, we go from there. But we've gotten to a point where most of the time, except for very specific situations, we charge up front, and we don't start until we charge and it's paid for. And everybody has their comfort level with that, and just know that you have to stand up for yourself. Don't like, as much as you want to be like super caring and customer support and cater to people, when you're talking about money for your services, you need to stand up for yourself and make sure that you take a stand for yourself. And this is something we know Devin struggles with. It's why I handle that part of our business. And I think a lot of artisans struggle with that. And you have to do what's comfortable, but like also set boundaries and stick to them, because even people that we've called friends have dicked us around when it came to money. And that sucks. You don't want that to happen with people that you think are your friends or that you consider friends. And I still consider them a friend. But like, the worst thing that could happen is like that ruins a friendship. Just, you know, stick up for yourself and make sure that that the exchange of monies is happening in a way that you're comfortable with and in a timely way, because like, you don't want that to happen.
Can I interject really quick?
Yeah.
This it doesn't involve like us making a custom and like knowing that person and then them coming and being like, I'll have it in 3 weeks. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We specifically have done like custom orders with people's names on them and then ghosted. That's what he's talking about more so.
Yeah.
But either way.
But in general, like, set your boundaries and stick to them. Don't make exceptions. Don't. And
so just a quick question.
Yeah.
Like, everything is all done paid up front, or some portion of the money paid up front.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm understanding?
It has been for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, most of the time at this point, we take money up front. Now, we won't always take money up front if we're not ready to start in a timely manner.
Right.
Like, but as soon as we're ready to work that into our work schedule, like our out programming, but that's not the right word because that's revolved around stream. But as soon as we're ready to pencil that in as to when we're going to start working on it, that's when that conversation happens.
Okay.
And at that point, for the most part, it is up front. The only time recently that hasn't been where we've done like 50% is when I did that big hose order. But that's, keep in mind with that hose order, I'm paying for the leather and thread, but my customer is supplying me their silicone. So if they're supplying me half of the materials and paying half up front, like that kind of is 100%. You know what I mean? And they're not, if they fail or they don't commit and they don't pay the other, well, now not only do I have something that I can sell, but I also have their raw goods. So like it's a very good situation, and it's okay in that case for us because it's a working relationship, and we're both contributing to that product being made. So that's the one time recently. But any more, as soon as we're ready to say like this is when this is going to get started on, and this is when we expect to be able to finish it around, that's when we start having that conversation about invoicing.
Okay. Now, sorry, another thing. You
No
guys
problem.
say invoicing. Do you guys actually use like a QuickBooks or a Wix or something along those
Nah,
lines?
invoice on
Keep
PayPal.
track of your projects? Okay.
Yeah, no, we have our own like list because we're kind of in two different fields when we're working on things. And we're not the most organized people. So I don't think we're the best people to discuss how to organize that.
Okay, well,
as you guys know us, but we're
I know, me
organized.
too.
I'm not saying
Me
we're not
too.
organized.
No.
But,
I get where you're
but we're
coming
not
from. But, like,
organized in the best way that I would say that, you should follow our footsteps in that.
right. So can anyone offer how they do? Like Boyd, how do you go about invoicing, keeping track of your projects, those types of things? Because right now, every time someone sees something, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. So I have like 5 or 6 small projects on the go, trying to make sure that I'm keeping track of which ones I'm doing and where I'm going with each one. So any guidance on like how each person kind of keeps track of what they're doing?
So I use PayPal for invoicing. It's really easy to sign up and all that. But as far as like organizing orders and custom orders especially, what I've started doing, I just have a simple spreadsheet, right? The spreadsheet shows when the person was interested in it, right? When they're ordering it, who it is, what the project is, and then I just have a bunch of kind of check boxes going down the each column, right? It's okay. The first step is invoicing them, and then do I have the materials that are ready to go? Have I started the project? All those things. And so it's a relatively simple Excel sheet, but it just kind of helps, organize all of the things. It has their Twitch name or whatever it may be. And then as I'm doing all of those steps, after I invoice, I put a checkbox next to them, and then order the materials or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And finally, once it's finally shipped, then it just comes off the list. So to me, it's been working pretty well.
Okay.
There are definitely like softwares that you can use that larger manufacturing companies would use, like to actually track each individual item as it's running through your process. But I think it's way overkill for us as small makers.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's however you're best organized, like yourself,
Right.
and organize it from there. But yeah,
Mhm.
we're not
Maybe
all that
no
much different
filter.
than Boyd. It's just that we kind of have two different lists.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think more. I'm a person of see do, so that's why I ask the questions of like, how do you do it, and how do you do it? Because I like to be able to like take an amalgamation of all the things and do it a
Right.
specific way.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, and we also like try to populate, like just write down on a whiteboard, just like, okay, what are the little goals that we need to do today or the next few days, and try to
Right.
like individually check off those little items as well. That's
Right.
been helping too.
Yeah. But that is a good point of like having that, like, do I have the products? Do I have the shipping supplies? Have I sent them size charts? Have I done all of those types of things?
Yep.
Okay.
Ko-fi lets you upload a video along with your photos. Talk about Artist Alley. Oh shit. Bye, Amber. I know you already left. Didn't see that.
Yeah, I can see this the chat in these voice calls being very helpful, but also like there's a full on other conversation going on over there.
It's like yeah, exactly. There's a lot because there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
If it were smaller, it'd be different. Also, like, you know, more sort of for posting the links and stuff like that as well. But there's a different conversation, and I'm trying to track it as well as I can. But yeah, it is definitely helpful. I'm glad that they implemented it, but not the most helpful thing in a room of 15. But it does allow you to write something without interrupting. That way, if you have the thought and you don't want to lose the thought, but also you don't want to interrupt, you're able to write it there as well, and then you can kind of revert back to it.
I feel almost like this would need a kind of a moderator, just keeping an eye on this, so that you can keep it relevant to what everyone's talking about too. Learning.
Talk about TwitchCon.
Yeah,
Artist Alley. I've heard very, very mixed reviews about Artist Alley at TwitchCon. Colleen has said that that it's rough for the artists at TwitchCon. I don't think I'd be going to TwitchCon with the intention of growing Moko Made.
No.
I'd go to TwitchCon so that I could meet the people that I've already met, you know, and just have fun.
If we're going down that alley, but they are doing like a digital kind of artist display where you can actually submit projects that you've worked on Twitch and then link the VODs to where it's been worked on, and they'll show your art at TwitchCon.
Okay, that's definitely better than committing to being like in Artist Alley.
I mean, you don't even have to be there, right? It's all remote or whatever.
That's cool. I would definitely look into being able to do that.
So I
deadline for digital was the 5th. Oh well.
Oh no! Dang it!
Not doing that then. Wait,
rip.
Isn't that in October though?
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous.
So, quick question to people who have done, and this might be a little bit off topic as well too, but another question to people who have done like markets or those types of things. Do you find that you have to discount your prices being at like a market or one of those table type of places versus what you can sell online?
We always have,
because we're paying to be there.
Yeah. The only experience I have at shows for that is the Scrubs. And we always discounted, but that's so much different than what we're talking about with who we are here. So I kind of agree with what Boyd said. You're paying to be there, so yeah, I don't think I would discount too much unless if someone wants to buy multiple items, you could start to wheel and deal a little bit to encourage the 3 sale. Yeah, a little haggling never hurt anybody. And if they're gonna buy three items, you discount $5 or $10.
Just the reason I was asking is I met this lady at Michael's talking about yarn, and she told me about her little creations thing, and then I went to her booth and she was like, $5 for this and $5 for this, and I'm like, girl, I know how much time you spent making these crochet items. $5? Really? Okay.
It's basically free.
Yeah, and I was just like and how the amount of them that she has to sell in order to make back the cost of the cost of everything. And so I was just wondering, like, is that an expectation? And maybe it's just because of the types of items that she was making, she was expecting to sell more of.
I have a thought on this.
Okay.
This is Dig Batty again.
Hi, Dig Batty.
Hi. How are you, Kim?
I'm
love
wonderful.
that. Love that Yoshi, by the way. I was on stream when those guys revealed it. That was pretty cool. So,
Thank you.
I want to shout out to everybody. That was cool. So before I was a mini painter, I was a pen maker. I
Okay.
turned pens and I
Hmm.
did craft fairs a lot
Right.
because I wasn't really interested in doing it online, selling
Hmm.
online. And I found that it depends on what kind of craft fair you're doing. There's
Okay.
some where people have to pay to get into the craft fair,
Hmm.
and they're juried. I learned that after a while I only wanted to do juried shows because the people organizing it will look at the quality of your work. You won't get stuck next to somebody selling something they mass bought off a Chinese website
Right.
and are reselling.
Hmm.
Plus, any shows where people are paying to go to, they
Hmm.
want to spend their money. So we
Hmm.
didn't discount. We actually found that increasing our prices increased our sales at those places because it gave them a sense of getting higher quality.
Right.
Now, if we did like a farmer's market or an open air kind of thing where it was, 40, $50 for a table and you were there and people were buying vegetables along with other things, it would knock our prices down a little bit. Or I just wouldn't bring the higher end things
Items.
because
Okay.
we knew they weren't going to sell. So we kind of tailored it to whatever market we were going to be in, and different states too, actually
Yeah.
different locations in our own state. The
Okay.
markets carried differently, especially with pens. I mean,
Right.
someplace close to Madison or a larger metropolitan area, they don't mind spending $50, $60 on a well-made pen. But if
Right.
you go to a smaller, strawberry festival at,
Hmm.
some county fair, $20 is what they're going to maybe want to spend on a pen. So that
Right.
you tailor it to that. But
Okay.
honestly, I know everybody else says don't short sell yourself at all, because if I bought something from you online and then I finally get a chance to meet you in person and I
Mm.
see I could have gotten it cheaper, then that might upset me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
again, so it's always a tricky thing, but that's just my 2 cents and my experience from doing that
Yeah,
fair stuff.
I agree.
Good
The
point.
market matters, and you bring up a bunch of good points there for sure. Like the market for us, my experience was all of the scrubs, and they are mass produced. They're high quality, mass produced in the U.S., but mass produced nonetheless. So there was that ability and that flexibility to discount for us in those cases. But that is not applicable to what we're talking about here. And I'm still, how many years into this, not beating myself up, but reminding myself regularly, for the better of Devin and I, because I handle this part of our business, to stop short selling ourselves, to stop, to charge what it's worth, for better or for worse,
Yeah.
and stop that behavior, because it is we never got what we were worth in hookah. We were never going to, and that really ingrained it in us in a bad way,
Hmm.
because it's just the niche product in a niche world, and then you start painting them with high end paintwork. We just never were going to get what we were worth there. Not that I regret it ever. I still love that product, still want to make that product, and still will make that product. But we spent years underselling ourselves, and we're finally getting over that hump and that uncomfortableness that comes with, putting your foot down on yourself in a way to
Yeah.
charge what you're worth. And I just will reiterate that over and over and over again, that
I think.
it's worth losing a couple sales to stand up for your quality and for what you're worth.
I think one of the other things that's kind of keeps you on like that right brain path, and again, just being a very realistic person, would I get out of bed and go somewhere for $5 an hour? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you have to charge $50 or $80 an hour,
Mhm.
but on the flip side of things, am I willing to get out of bed and put all of this effort and love and joy into this item that I'm making, only to get that small amount back for it? My time is worth as well the high quality of items that I'm putting out there too. So
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was years of that. Now it was also years of learning and growth, and like, it was
yeah.
the first product we ever sold. It's the first thing Devin ever painted for someone else. Like there were
Right.
so many things that we got back in return that were so much greater than any dollar could be.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and talk about regrets or you know that we did things wrong, because we got back so many things to be able to now have what we have, which never would have started if we didn't start with these things and grow with this. So no regrets as far as that's concerned, but definitely lessons well learned in finally saying, like, and Devin, I say this to Devin all the time. She'll be like, "Are you sure that it's worth that?" And I stare at her. I don't even have to say it to her. She knows exactly what I'm gonna say back, and we have that conversation often still, you know. And it's still tough, but it is like a relief, a big relief to finally be like, wow, like we don't have to do that anymore.
You're amazing. Every single person in here who can create something that someone else can't is amazing.
I
And
agree.
I said this. I said this the other day on stream, and a lot of people don't really think about it. But like, I know when I've sat and sewed something or crocheted something, I know the mistakes that I made. I know the things that I took out. I know the stitch tension that was a little bit off. But you give that thing to someone who doesn't have the ability to create that. You give it to them and they don't see any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Or, you paint something a very specific way and you might think that it's not good, but you give it to someone else and they think it blows their fucking mind at how amazing it is that you did that. So keep that in mind. It's not what you keep seeing and the things that you keep going over that you made a mistake of. Once you get it into that person's hands and they think it's amazing, it doesn't matter what you think after that.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Boyd?
I heard it, but I'm still gonna be a perfectionist.
I know.
To hear anything, Tim, it was that.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It is still very, very hard for me to not be like, okay, don't do it.
Yeah,
But-
and Pezzy says we're our biggest critics, and I don't want we should be, by the way.
Yes,
we absolutely should be.
100%.
No one should be a bigger critic on ourselves than us, because that you have to be. That's how you grow. That's how you keep that drive to become better, because the day that you think that you can't get better is the day that you've killed yourself as an artisan. You can always get better and improve and try new things.
Yeah.
You can. I didn't touch anything creative till I was 25 years old. I'm just learning that I have abilities to do things. Like literally anything is possible for me. I didn't touch anything creative till I sewed a first hookah hose ever. Yeah. Even though I grew up with my sister and my mom both being those kinds of people. So the sky is the limit. You have to be your own worst critic. But you have to know where the line is too.
Yeah. To Pezzy's point of the like constant going over and over and over, I was the same thing. I actually have tried really hard to take perfect out of my vocabulary, because if you know in nature, there is no perfect. There is none. It doesn't actually exist. There is not something that can be 110% perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So you see my t-shirt that
I was literally just gonna say that.
Yeah, perfectly imperfect is what it is.
Yeah.
I've gotten it to a place where I'm happy with what I've made.
Yeah.
And that's because the person who gets it thinks it's perfect.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate, because my professional training, my only professional job I had before I was now a full-time entrepreneur, was in apparel manufacturing. And I did every part of that process that you could imagine, except being in the sewing line, which is why I wanted to sew something. By the way, that's kind of what led me to that epiphany that, like, I've done everything else but sew something. So now I want to sew something. But one of the main jobs I had was quality control in factories. And that's why I know the line so well as far as what's right and what isn't, because I'm actually trained in it. Like, I was able to know everything that was wrong with the garment, but I also had to know the exact line that this is okay to pass and this needs to go to my boss to, talk about and maybe not pass or maybe do something else to it to make it pass. Like I had to know those lines every single day, and I did that for 6 years. So like that's something that I was trained on in that. And as much as I used to be the hardest person ever on myself, I still am really hard on myself. But being in that environment, taught me everything I need to know about what is and isn't okay. Even with still being my own biggest critic, like I know precisely where that line is.
Hard line to draw.
It's hard. It's very hard. It's even harder when you're talking about thousands of garments that are on the line for that, and not just one piece that maybe you remake. I've been the person to fail entire lots of clothing that were finished. So talk about stress that comes with that. It's not fun, but when you know the line and something's not acceptable, you draw that line and you make a stand. So and now that they've moved their manufacturing abroad, I've been in the store in New York City and seen every single garment on the shelf that would have failed my production now being accepted. So that's what happens when you move production away from quality. That's an awesome piece, Pezzy. I was just looking at the chat. Sorry that someone confused you stealing it.
No, go ahead.
I want to interrupt for like 2 seconds. And this is strictly to Boyd. I've actually been wanting to reach out to you for this, but I think everyone can gain something from this. Lately, when you're under stress, you make stupid mistakes, right? And then you beat yourself up over them. And I think that like the best thing that you could do is like you go into a project and you have this vision of and if it's
you're
not
breaking Devin, your mic, whatever you're using, I don't know if it's in the toilet again, is breaking up in every single sentence that you say.
All right, hold on. 2 seconds. 2 segundos.
Is it in your butthole?
I don't know what's there.
Have you checked your butthole?
She does this all the time. She drives me insane in VC. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's because I was on my phone. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you drive me crazy, bro.
What I wanted to say is like so often as artists and makers, we go into a specific project and we only have one outcome in mind. And if it doesn't come exactly, out exactly the way that we had pictured, you scrap the whole project. And that's like toxic behavior within your own head. You know what I mean? And that's like, so recently Boyd's been doing projects that aren't necessarily for anyone. So it doesn't matter how that project comes out at, like, you know what I mean?
That is true.
You can change your mindset and be like, all right, well, like that wasn't perfect, but like, I'm going to lop that whole side off and keep going because I am the driver of whatever this outcome is. You know what I mean? And I think that's like huge thing. Like we can be really toxic to ourselves because of our own expectations. And if we're just a little bit easier on ourselves and lighter and be like, all right, well, that happened. Let's just go in this direction now. Or maybe it was a happy accident. Look, Bob Ross, guys. That's where we're headed, You can drive the car wherever that project takes you. And maybe that mistake was on purpose. Maybe that was a mistake, but now you have an entirely new vision that doesn't fit the mold of exactly what you pictured before. And that's just a huge thing that I think all of us need to.
Exactly, Momo. That's exactly what Devin's saying. I wonder if it would be helpful to think of it as the accident/change as moving the piece in the direction it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's a total change. There's a text coming up. Are you on your computer? I don't think you're able to see this on your phone.
Now I'm on my computer, but
okay. If you click on workshop, like click on the workshop thing. so that you see everybody,
Oh.
see the text chat. This is the new feature. So that people can
Oh,
talk when
okay.
they're out interjecting and also just add pictures and stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Momo.
It's not
Because-
acknowledging that something happened or that it didn't go the way you had initially planned. It's just a change in mindset on how you approach that thing that happened.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Beating yourself up over it is only putting you in that mindset that you could potentially fail again, or in your own mind that would be a fail again, because now you're all worked up over a mistake, and then you're in that worked up mindset going to do the same thing, and then you screw it up again because you're just not in that right mindset. So I think that we all need to be a little bit lighter on ourselves and stop bringing toxicity to our own brains.
I'll try my best.
Speak for yourself, Devin.
is it-
Toxic jerk.
It's for all of us. It's for all of us.
That was a
I'm
joke.
serious.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Okay.
I tell people all the time that I admire Devin's mindset. We can all benefit from that. Maybe not being as much in La La Land as Devin is, but take a piece of her La La Land and apply it to our own lives.
What were you gonna say, boy?
There, you kind of mentioned this earlier a little bit about like doing drops versus custom orders. And I think that's kind of like one of the pros of a drop is you're just selling the end product. It doesn't matter what it started out being. You're just selling what it looks like after it was finished. And actually something that happened during my drop that I thought was interesting is we sold out of all the travel mugs, but I had one or two that, again, I wasn't happy enough with to sell, but people ended up buying them as like seconds because, you know, there wasn't enough for everybody to get one. So I kind of thought that was interesting and maybe a pro for the drop versus just selling things, you know, customs or one-off that you want them to at least look a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the creative freedom that I started out this whole conversation with about batch releases that so many of us here and in general in the maker artisan space don't get, because we're so used to saying, this is what I want, please make this for me. We do it to their specifications and then we sell it and we move on. But the batch release gives you that freedom to artistically go whichever way you're driven. And like, I mean, Jane, look at what Janie's done with her cups. I'm just bringing hers up because I know hers is coming most recent or most soon. But she's
Dragon Eye is sick,
right? But that she said she took it to a different level of I don't want to call it an extreme because that's the wrong word, but she took it to a whole different level of creativity that she's never had the chance to do because someone didn't come to her and say, hey Janie, can you meticulously handcraft a dragon eye on this cup for me and sculpt it in something that you've never done before? You know what I mean? Like, customers aren't going to come to you most of the time for that because they don't even, it's not in their realm of possibilities of what you can do. And it wasn't in Janie's either until she said, fuck it, I'm going to try this. And she made something amazing from it. And we don't get the creative freedom most of the time. But one thing Devin and I always tell people is, if you give us a budget for something, but then you also give us creative freedom, you are always, always, always going to get more than what you paid for. Always. Yeah. Because you are giving us the freedom to do what we want and to go the direction we want. So you will always get more for your money that way. But so much of the time we're not given that freedom. And the one way to guarantee it is I'm going to drop whatever I feel like making and go whichever way my brain is taking me and is inspired to do so. And that's why I've loved seeing Janie do it, because I've seen her really step outside of her comfort zone, and I'm proud of her for that.
Yep, good points.
You guys got butthole stuck in my head now.
It's in my head too.
It's stuck in my head every day. Every day.
Okay, anyways.
Well,
now we're all humming it in our heads.
Okay, sorry. Back to serious stuff.
Dev, what are some other things like, Derek's been talking a lot about his point of view, but like maybe strategic things that you've seen, Dev, that have kind of worked and maybe, we can all maybe implement or at least think about doing on our streams or the lead up to the streams, to the drops. And you have anything else?
Boyd. You really think I have my shit together?
Well, you've been through like 10 of them, so you got to have at least some experience.
Yeah, but it's
true, but also the difference, and this is why Derek and I work so well together. I'm like water, and Derek is like rock. And I go whichever way the wind blows, and Derek sticks to so much of a schedule. So there's really like, I don't prepare anything. I think I offer way more when it comes to the mindset on these than I do in the advertisement of them. If that makes sense.
What kind of mindset should we have going into them?
Be less toxic to yourself. If they don't sell out, they will eventually. If they don't, like, I don't get hard on myself on literally anything. And that has to do with stream, like, too. Like, there's days that we have down days on stream, and after Derek's like, well, why did that happen? And I'm like, who the fuck cares? Tomorrow, it's gonna be fine again. Tomorrow, we're gonna do better. I never, I'm really not hard on myself for anything. And that's, like, the mindset going into it. Like, of course, I get nervous, but I also have the mindset that if it doesn't sell, like, nothing's going to stop me. It's not going to get me down. I'm just going to change it and do better next time, or change it and take it into, like, an entirely different realm that I wasn't thinking before. I don't know what to put out that people are going to want to buy, right? And so every time we do a batch release of some sort, you just don't know, and you're not the customer. So while you might think this is like awesome, other people might not, and that's fine. You're allowed to like things that others don't. Don't let that bother you. Eventually it'll sell. It's going to sit on your website. Eventually it'll sell.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, use it for a giveaway in the future. It's not going to go to waste, and you can't let that get to you. That's my biggest thing. Like, is to just stop being so hard on yourself.
I do more of the preparation work, the posting, the thought process behind how things are going to operate and when they're going to operate. And yeah, Devin, yeah.
Everyone's support.
Yeah, well, we just balance each other so well. We really do. Like, I know, like, we're streaming, and some people might not believe that our relationship is as it is on camera, or that. But like, we just are a perfect balance of yin and yang, and that balance shows in what we're able to accomplish. So.
Yeah, and also remember, like, energy is a huge thing when it comes to this stuff. If you're down on yourself for one thing, you're not going to put your all into the next project, because now you're doubting. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this if it's not going to sell? Am I putting too much time into this because it's not going to sell? Instead of doing that, just say the next thing is going to sell. Like, put that same energy into that first, or into the second that you did into the first when you didn't know. You know what I mean? Because whatever comes out in your product is a direct result of how you're feeling when you're making that product.
I have this up on my screen. These airbrushed, like, I mean, I'm still amazed by these hoses that we made. Airbrushed, then Devin had to go in and fine tune the airbrushing with paint. I can't tell you how excited we were about these two hoses right here. I cannot explain in words. When we put this together, that we could, airbrush gradient patterns onto hookah hoses, we just figured out the next big thing that's going to be huge for our business, right? Like, and I'm not exaggerating. Devin's laughing because she knows I'm telling the truth. Guess what? Guess who owns these hoses?
Derek?
Yeah, Derek and Devin own these hoses because no one wanted to buy them. And guess who's ecstatic to have them? Derek and Devin.
And the thing is, someone offered to pay less for them. And this was actually like kind of recent. And I told Derek, absolutely not. The work that went into them, I would rather have them as a piece in the back of our stream than I ever would sell them for less. Because they took significantly more time than even a regular painted hose, because I didn't realize airbrushing and like a textured leather would just spread.
Yeah, it was a learning process. And to be honest, to be honest, Devin, and I say this with a caveat, is we were not provided the opportunity to pursue this further and figure it out because nobody bought them. But I guarantee you could have done better the next time without having to do as much handwork and stuff like that. But we weren't provided that opportunity because people didn't buy them. So we moved on to something different, and that's what you do. You much like streaming, like the business of making art is like the waves of the ocean, and you just kind of got to go with the flow until you find your path. But above all else, just maintain that positivity. Like, we were so excited that we made these because we thought they were so fucking cool, and they are. They are, by the way.
They are really fucking cool.
And now we get to own them, and I'm just as happy being ecstatic at what we accomplished in making these, owning these myself, than I would be discounting them for them to wind up somewhere else. And we have these on display. I mean, the ones on display behind me, set up on the hookah in our studio, and the other one is constantly right beside me that I show people all the time. And it's like that was our mindset. It was like, wow, people didn't get excited about these as we did, but it doesn't mean that we can't still be as excited that we made them.
Yeah. And
that's the kind of mindset that Devin, the mindset stuff that Devin is talking about.
Exactly. You're so right. You just got to get out of your own way, I was at a friend's house last night. We were talking about this a lot. Like, oftentimes we stand in our way all the time, and it's all about that mindset. Like, if you make a mistake, if you don't sell out a batch, if you thought something was really cool and it just never sells, that can really start to take over your thoughts. And that's when you start making more mistakes. That's when you start feeling like you're not good enough. And
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's the mindset I think that we could all do better working on, because we're all great makers in our own right, but that mindset really needs to back you up.
Can I share something that I recently realized?
Yes,
absolutely.
So when I first started there, and even some days I still have it. When I first started, I was constantly looking at my viewer number. Layla's saying hi to our sisters, apparently. Hang on a second. I was constantly looking at that number, and it just baffled my mind. And it drove me always constantly being like, why is no one coming in here? And then I realized when I turned it off how much more fun I had just in my own right of just being like, this is who I am, this is it, be here, do it, I'm doing it.
And depending on the person, that is something that people should do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like the other thing is like just being able to like, there are times where I'll get in there and I'm like, why are people here watching me? And then I'll get like a raid, or someone will just come in and say something and I'm like, yeah, I got to stop doing that because it's not true. I need to get out of my own way. It's not true. People are here to see me, to watch me do these things, to enjoy my company, to whatever they're here for it. So stop doubting that. If you turn on that stream and there's 1 or 5 or 3 or 0 or don't, especially with Twitch, you can't look at that number because that number is so inaccurate. People can watch without people can watch without being logged in, which doesn't necessarily log a unique view for you.
No, that counts as a view. You just won't have
Does
a viewer
it?
on your viewer list. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Actu-
mean. That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's one of those things where like I've gotten to the point now, and just for my own imposter syndrome to just be like, it doesn't matter. You're just in a room with friends, and if your friends are there to chat or not chat, you're still there with someone.
Yeah. And I've found that especially the past 2 weeks, especially Twitch has been really rough with viewership counts. Just kind of zigzagging all over the place with no consistency. Like for 5 minutes does that number stay in a place that makes sense. And
Right.
so it's like you don't want to focus on it, and if it does cloud your mind like it does for you, then you shouldn't have that number on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It all depends on the person. Everybody's different.
Right.
This makes me think of when my mom was there, and she has no idea what any of this is. Even though she could see the viewership number the whole time, she didn't know where to look. And we got off stream, the second stream. That was like a lower number, and she was so upset. She was so upset. I was like crying tears of laughter at how upset she was that it was that it was a slightly lower number than like our normal number, right? Which happens.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part about streaming is like it is a fucking journey, and it will fuck with your head. Like you'll have one day that's so high up, and then next day will make no sense, and you sit there going like, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? But that's how it goes. Like you have, like generally we know where we stand, but then we have one of the like usually once a week you have a day that's just down, and there's no reason why. It just is. It's not because the vibe was down. It's not because something bad happened that led to bad vibes. There's no reason for it. It just is how streaming
Maybe
is.
people are just out of their house at this point in time.
Or Twitch is having one of those days where it's not registering users properly. Like that was so rough during our partner push because we were really having a problem. Twitch even acknowledged it for us, but also said we're not going to do anything to help you. Like that was so stressful. And now we don't have to worry about that as much anymore. But that kind of thing will get to you when you having like good day, and then all of a sudden there's just like. And it wasn't a bad day. It was like you wouldn't have noticed it in Twitch, but it just like the number was lower. It's just like, well, why? Like what? But mom was so upset. She's like, I don't want to hurt your stream. Am I doing bad? I'm like, Mom, people fucking adore you. What are you talking about? Shut up. Go have some more wine or something. What? It was so funny.
So Janie asks, how do you decide what happens during your batch release stream content wise?
Hype.
All hype.
Just be uniquely yourself, because that's why people are there to begin with. They're there to cheer you on and cheer with you, and just have fucking fun. Have fun. Whatever it may be, whatever that may be for you.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe is Janie like talking about like community games or that type of situation?
Yeah, I think so. So like the one time I think we did it, like we said, 2 hours in, because that's what we generally feel like gives everybody enough time to get in. We did the batch, and then we kind of just hung out with the hype while the batch was going on. And you know, we did our thing, and then there was all this hype. We're partying, we're doing our, you know, crazy shit sibling stuff, and then we played Gang Beasts and we beat the shit out of one another, and it was one of our best streams in that like first 6 months of our streaming career. And we went from like the excitement leading up and the hype leading up to like legit selling out in a way we haven't before and celebrating that, to like crying tears of laughter because that's what Gang Beasts does to you. And you know, that's what we did. And it's like just whatever it is that caters to uniquely you and having fun and just bringing good energy and good vibes, which is what we do on a regular basis and what you should do with your stream. But whatever that means for you. For us that day, it was Gang Beasts. We didn't plan to play Gang Beasts. We just did. And we had a blast. And it's just like, just whatever is fun for you, do it.
Well, and I think like, showing the product, right? Like, whatever Janie's gonna release 10 cups, be sure and show everybody, and maybe you can only get so many angles and pictures, but if you start to rotate them around and you can kind of show the coloring and stuff, it gives people a better idea of what they're gonna buy, and they can go directly to that, link and buy it hopefully. So.
100%. Like have all that stuff front and center. Like maybe not right in front of you, because you'll get like too hype and knock it over. like right beside you in a way that's safe, and like be bringing them into the camera, show the people, hey, anybody interested in one of the cups and want to see it up close, like, bring the chat into it, have them asking questions, wanting to know about it. Maybe they start asking about how it was made because maybe they didn't see it get made. And then you can start talking about your processes. Now they're understanding why that cup is worth so much, because you explained how many things you had to do to make it. You're helping sell yourself by engaging the chat in a way that will, also upsell yourself. So for sure.
I just want to say also, like the way that we did it and the way that Boyd did it, as things sold, he also showed them like, oh, this sold, this sold, so and so, because the chat is also hyping you up and being like, oh, like sold out, you know what I mean? And it gets really exciting for all of us. But also Boyd did something sneaky, and it worked on me at least. You could sneak in maybe an item that no one knows that you have or are going to sell. And that's what got me with the what is it, cutting board, that set, because I had no idea it was going to be there. And when I went in thinking I wanted a mug, and then I saw that and I was like, wait, what? I had no idea. And maybe you had said it, but I guess I wasn't there anytime that you might have brought it up. And when I saw that, it reeled me in. I was like, oh, I gotta have that. So maybe like sneaking something in that no one knows is going to be there, and then it drops and they see something and they're like, wait a minute, that can draw some attention too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like stuff, that was something that we had made like 4 or 5 months before, but we had never posted it on the site, and it was just kind of a good opportunity to do that. So, yeah,
Totally.
definitely.
Yeah.
And it got you another sale of one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I 100% am in the mindset that it's best to have pictures of everything that you plan on putting up, beforehand, so that there's no like absolute crapshoot to see what you want and then purchase it. But except in the case of what Devin was saying with Boyd, like sneak one item in there, 2 items in there. But like, yeah, it was a good idea. Like you had it sitting there anyway. You knew you were going to have traffic to your site that day. Throw it in there,
Yeah, it worked. I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
I love it. No regrets.
It's all about driving sales. That's what batch releases are in general. And like I said this at the beginning, and I will repeat it. There's a risk, and that the amount of that risk is dependent upon how much you want to put up. And it's not going to be for everybody. Some people are not going to like it. They're just not. And they'll be loud about how they don't like it too. But guess what? If all your stuff's sold, then who cares?
Fuck the haters?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say that, because they're not necessarily haters.
I'm joking, sorry.
No, because they're not. These aren't those kinds of haters. These are people that just get salty that they don't get what they want, which are a little bit different than the haters we want to fuck.
What?
That was a joke. Relax.
Reword.
It was a joke.
It's one of those kind of streets.
But
okay, before we get too far off on a tangent, Janie, is
people
there
won't be so
else that
like
you want to ask?
Yeah. Don't get so caught up that like people are not happy, because you're just not going to make everyone happy. People will be like, well, I didn't get this, or that was a gimmick, or that was this or that was that. I didn't get what I wanted. Fuck it. If it's sold, it's sold. I'm sorry that I sold my product,
Some people like apples, some people like oranges. You're not going to get everything you want, okay?
Yep.
There we go.
Exactly.
I like what the person that continued to inquire about the Dragon Cup. When I finally told her, I was like, no, I am keeping that just for the batch release. She's like, oh, okay, well, I'll order again some other time. So
yeah. Well, she could.
She's playing with your emotions,
Yeah,
Janie.
she is.
She's trying to be manipulative.
Because guess what? There's two things that are gonna happen. One of two things are gonna happen, or maybe both. She's gonna be there on that batch release to try to buy that cup.
Mhm.
Or two, and that one I'm not sure about, but number two I am positive about. Someone's gonna buy that cup. And it ain't gonna matter if it's her or not at that point, right? Because if it sells, it sells. And that's the point I'm making, is like people have strong opinions about this style, this way of hyping up, and this way of doing things. And they'll call it whatever they want. Gimmick is a big one. It's not a gimmick though, because it's a strategy for selling product, and it works. Gimmicks.
You go to a store and see impulse buy stuff, and do you buy it?
Exactly.
That is the exact same thing as a batch release.
Yes. It's just I just want people to be prepared for those strong opinions, because there are some strong opinions about it, for sure. We've, especially in the hookah world, Devin knows about that. Like, there are some very strong opinions about it, and it's just like it's dumb, but it's true.
Yes, but as small makers, you're available to remake anything.
That's what I said. Let them not get it, make it available, but upsell it a little bit, because it's custom made to order and in your custom order list.
I agree.
We've always done that. Now there are some people we know who say if you don't get it on the batch release, you don't get it, and that I don't agree with. But if your batch stuff, because it's released all at once, is a little bit less than your normal stuff, and someone wants it, add them to the custom order list, you upsell it a little bit, you remake it. We've done that for people all the time, and it's never come back to hurt us. No one has ever said, wow, that was in the batch release and you made it again. Yeah, I made it again. I charged them $25 more. Are you upset? Because they're not going to be. They're not going to be. Everybody winds up being happy in the end in that case. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. And whoever that person is just trying to get you to budge. But I'm proud of you for not budging, because I said this earlier. You are going to piss off 5 of your customers selling something early, rather than one that you didn't sell it too early. You know what I'm saying? Because there are going to be 5 others that wanted that are now pissed because they didn't pressure you to sell it first. And now they're getting to the batch release. They waited patiently without giving you a hard time. They go to look for it and it's not there.
Agreed.
Plus, having that highly sought after item included in your drop will drive more people to the shop. Yep, exactly. Well, not 100%. Because now those same 5 people are going to go to the site. Maybe they don't get that cup, but maybe they do buy one instead. Or they go to your site, help with the traffic, help bring up the hype, but then wind up ordering the cup anyway if they don't get it. Anchored, to answer your question, keep it straight and to the point. Don't, especially when you're posting on Instagram. Instagram's for pictures, right? Not a lot of people are going to read a lot of the text. So keep it as simple as possible. Keep it about what the item is, what it may cost, and when it will be available. And try to keep it as simple as possible to those 3 things, because most people are just not going to read anything more than that, if they even read that to begin with. Like, I don't even think. Yeah, see, look, Deadpool, available 3/17 at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's it. That's all I put on these posts.
Yeah, also, you should maybe, leading up to it, post it a few separate days, because, like, get it in people's minds. Like, this is when it is.
Yeah, I had said that earlier, Devin, about how, like, you should plan your posting so that you have basically 1 or multiple posts a day leading up to the actual release, with the information repeated, like, this cup available this time at this site.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, hit it over and over and over again, because they're probably going to need to see it multiple times before they actually read when that's actually going to be available.
And maybe they scrolled through and saw the Joker, but weren't even interested in what that was, so they didn't read the description. But maybe a couple days later, Deadpool comes up and they're like, "Oh, I like Deadpool," and then they realize what's happening.
Yeah, and besides that, just the influx of content to your pages is always a good thing. It's driving traffic in a more consistent way, and that was something I'd said earlier too before you were here, was that like a lot of times as custom makers, we make one custom item, we get to post it, once a week or whatever, and we move on. But that content is not constant. But with a batch release, like when you time it out so that you're posting leading up to the release, you got post and post and post and post. There was the one batch release where we did 25 hoses that I was posting 3 hoses a day on an Instagram that normally had one post every few days. So it just hit our Instagram with a lot of content all at once, that it was content overload in the best way possible to drive traffic for the release.
So I have something that I have not. Well, I mean, there's a couple that I have not shown of what I'm doing, and I know we were talking about like keeping something secret, but then you're talking about taking all the pictures. Is that something
I
that
would
you would recommend, like a surprise?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do think it's good. I wouldn't want most of them to be a surprise. I would say you'd want most of them to be seen beforehand. We've always been tried to have most of them posted before. We've never done a surprise. Devin and I. That was something, Boyd taught us that worked. And we know it worked because Devin bought it. You know what I mean? That's not something we've done before. That's something we've learned from Boyd. But
Boyd, was that intentional?
Yeah. Well, go ahead. He said he had it just sitting there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a guild challenge project from a long time ago, but we had more than just that. It was excess inventory that we had that had never been on the site, and we took advantage of the day by just adding it to the drop.
Okay.
What do you feel about doing like one special sneak peek item? Like something that you can tease on your Instagram, like you take like a really close up shot or just a portion of the color, or those types of things.
Yeah. Most of our competitors in hookah, at least, they would maybe post a few of the products that were going to be available, and then everything else was a surprise the day of. And that was cool in a way, but that was frustrating to people because not only was it a free-for-all to get there, get in, now you got to look at everything that's available, make a quick decision, possibly the wrong one, because then you scroll down and see something you liked better. You know what I mean? It was like too much of a crapshoot, in my opinion, and not fair to your customers that are already going balls to the wall to get on that site and get something quickly. So I felt like that was too unfair to the customers for them to be treated that way. So I was always in the process or in the mindset that like, let's show them most of it, or all, in our case, usually all of it, so that at least they could see, all right, this is everything that's going to be there that day. I can now make a educated purchase decision right now, the day before, and then I know exactly what I want to do that day of the release. And so like that is just so much more fair to your customers that are already going so hard to try to purchase something. Like a surprise here and there, a little sneak peek, all about it. But just, I wouldn't suggest making it too much, all of it to a surprise, or most of it a surprise. Like one thing we did before we released, before we did the Pride release, I took this picture as a surprise. This was not what we released at all. I just took our hoses in a Roy G. Biv, and lined them up and be like, hey, I know we just did this release, but guess what? There's more coming. And, and then right after that is when we did the Pride release, which came with the heat set jewels in the tags, on the tags, and the rainbow thread. A week or two later after that.
Night, Derston.
So We'll see you later, Tris. Yeah. So all about the sneak peek and the surprise. Just, I think it's beneficial to your customers to at least let them see
not the
most
whole
of it.
thing, but something that you could be like,
yeah, there's something special you're not going to want to miss. Yeah. 100%. What's up, boy?
Also, maybe there may be some other ways to incentivize people buying on that day, right? Maybe one of the things we did was like coins are a thing in our channel or whatever, but to anybody who bought something on the drop day, we sent them like a little special coin to just, I don't know, have something else fun for the people who participated in that day. So maybe something else to think about.
I loved that, by the way, Boyd.
Yeah.
I thought that was an awesome touch.
Yeah, that was a good touch. I agree. Yeah, that was a great point. There's nothing else I can say other than that was something really cool. Didn't know about. Also, it was a green coin with 420 on it, which, resonates with me. So I found that extra cool for that purpose. But yeah, I liked it. It was a good touch. I mean, even like our first hoses didn't come with keychains. That was an added thing that it was like the bonus thing that we added with our hoses. Our keychains became that item. Like your coin was our keychains. And like our first hoses, if I scroll all the way down, see, there was all these hoses didn't come with that. And then when we implemented them, they now hung from the hookah and kept the handle that would normally be on the table or the floor or, where water and fur and hair and stuff was. And now it's lifted off the table. It looks really nice and presentable for a picture of your high-end item. So that became the thing that we added on were the keychains. That was kind of our thing with the hoses.
Good idea too.
We also do that with our scrubs. Our scrubs come with it's actually where we got the idea. Our scrubs come with a piece of our elastic that's actually in the waistband as a keychain.
Anchored is Albatross is asking who does stickers.
Is
it
a lot of people.
Momo.
Like Momo does stickers. I know Gun Girl does stickers. 20 does stickers. KMP does. We're capable of doing them, though we haven't really done them. Pezzy does stickers.
There you go.
There's a lot of people.
You got a Cricut and a printer, you can pretty much do stickers.
Yeah, we've made sure that we can do them. But what was that, Janie?
I'm not gonna do them. I hate stickers.
Yeah, the stickers were a bit of a problem for us. But Devin kept saying, I can do them. But then every time she did them, she messed them up. And I was like, well, like, can you actually do them? Or do I need to buy stickers? So she actually had to prove it to me that she could do them.
Night, Hunchy.
It was a work. It was. We'll see you later, Hunchy. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Someone gave me a piece of advice about your Cricut. They said to put the tape. So you know how like some of the suggestion is to put the tape around that bar that's on the paper? Someone suggested that you put the tape on the actual light on your machine. I haven't tried it yet, but that's another one of the ideas.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So for your print and cut on Cricut?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, someone gave me the suggestion to put, because if you're using a glossy paper, it reflects and then won't actually read that. Person suggested that you put tape on the light versus putting the tape on the actual piece of paper, and it'll work better.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it.
Me too. I'll let you know how it goes.
Moco stickers are on the website next week.
Well, like, cause we
anyway, they've been yelling at me.
Yeah, no, we want stickers up on the site, and we also just want to, like, throw in a sticker with orders and stuff. But the reason I needed them is because the stickers that I'm running out of Moses Hoses stickers, which I paid someone to make, and I put them. I buy basically what looks like a pizza box for our hoses, and I put the sticker on the box, on the plain white box, to at least label it as our box. And I was running out, and I was like, and Devin kept telling me, I could do it. I'm like, Devin, I'm literally out of stickers. Like, can you actually do this? Or you just keep telling me you can do it, but are never going to prove that you can do it.
Pezzy, do you like your silhouette? Do you have issues with the cut and print? Sorry, Pezzy's just saying that they have.
No problem.
And Snake Eye says that they just bought a stamp for their boxes. So like an ink stamp, I'm assuming, Snake?
Ink stamp.
Snake? And at this point, I can I could even laser the boxes at this point, which is something I still need to do. And I mean, this will be fun. I don't know when I'm going to do it because it's got too much to do right now, but I have square pieces of foam that I hand cut with a dinner plate as an outline to cut the circle out and coil the hose in the middle of the box. But I can even cut that foam with the laser.
Mm-hmm.
So
also
that'll be a fun project.
Stamp material.
Yeah.
That's
what Devin was saying. Yeah. So that's all stuff that I could do to improve our packaging where I wouldn't need that anymore. But even still, stickers are like, you either love stickers or you hate stickers.
I hate stickers.
You say you hate stickers, but you're also talking about buying a board to put behind you that's in frame on your camera so that you can put all the stickers that you've received from all your friends on display.
Hey, I love my friends. I hate stickers.
I love my friends. I hate stickers.
That is a completely fair statement.
I've heard that I mean, I feel like the silhouette Cricut thing is a constant debate. I feel like it's some people like one, some people like the other.
Yeah. Like the thing about like the Cricuts is they're only a very specific width, where like the silhouette just came out with, I think it's like a 48-inch cutting machine. So like you can do like full-size commercial prints on it.
48 inches is a good size.
Yeah, like it's huge. I watched someone do a review on it.
Holy shit.
Right. And like I imagine Cricut eventually will get there, but the other thing is silhouette it doesn't have as much. It's kind of like a Disney type of situation where Cricut has been around for so long. It's one of those big brands, right?
Yeah.
So
Pezzy says I haven't heard good things about the big one.
Interesting.
I prefer the Cameo over the Cricut. I'm not gonna lie. That being said, I've never had a problem with my Cricut. I love it, and it is cheaper than
the silhouettes.
How much is the Cameo?
Wow. 5? Is it 500?
I was just curious.
Yeah.
You can also cut vinyl with a laser, though. So I mean,
yeah, you guys are.
Mine was
depends.
Your silhouette?
I have just a Cameo.
The vinyl can be pretty toxic. It depends on the vinyl.
You have to do laserable vinyl or else it'll produce really toxic gas.
Like very toxic gases.
Have you done it, Boyd?
Yeah, Walnut has. She's made some shirts and stuff from the laserable acrylic.
It just needs to be a specific kind of vinyl. It's not just any vinyl.
Say no mo.
She can give you a link.
Dev is currently ordering laserable vinyl.
No, I'm working on edge dyeing these freaking coasters. But I'm gonna look at it. I mean, why not?
And that one's pretty prevalent. Walnut says the only laserable vinyl I found is Easy Weed by Sizer HTV.
Oh, Sizer's expensive too.
I haven't found any regular non-HTV that is laserable.
Yeah.
I bet it's the glue that's on the non-laserable stuff or the non-HTV stuff that's make it a little bit harder to actually get.
Well, I'm on to screen printing because of you, Kim. So screw you for that.
It is so cheap though. Like
It goes on sale a lot
honestly,
at Michael's. Okay, so we can look out for
yeah,
it at Michael's.
yeah.
Thanks, Walnut.
You
But
wanna?
yeah, the screen printing is cheap and easy. You already have a Cricut. It'll be super easy. You can get like the cheap whatever HT or whatever vinyls on sale at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whichever one you guys have. Because I just
Yeah.
got a roll of vinyl for $7 at Michael's, and I'll just use that for my screen printings exclusively. And then it's just whatever image you stick onto your screen.
It was just so satisfying. I don't need to do that.
You don't, but it's fun.
Exactly.
Isn't that like? Doesn't that go for most things that we do on stream?
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't need to be doing any of them, and quite frankly, need to be doing anything but a lot of the things that happen on stream. But you know, that's just do be how it be.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
I wasn't telling you anything. What?
Does anyone else have any other questions, or are we just bullshitting now?
JD?
I'm good.
Okay, then we're just bullshitting now.
Fine with that.
Janie, you already have an Etsy that you're using for other stuff?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm eating. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you eat then.
But yes, I do.
Is your drop going to be on your Etsy? I don't care if you're chewing while you talk. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's gonna be on
Yeah,
Etsy.
that's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be right there. I gotta let the dogs out. Hold on.
Give us some ASMR.
Are you considering making your own website, JD?
I've played with it. Like I have it pretty much ready to go, but I'm just not convinced of the cost.
Over Etsy.
Yeah. Etsy really, I know people have a problem when they're like high volume, but for me, my volume that I go through Etsy is not that big, and they do everything for me. So,
Yeah.
like I just hit 20 sales in my Etsy shop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do if I do a custom order, I just do it through like PayPal invoicing. So
Yeah.
My thought was you could run the numbers for like a sold out batch release and see what your percent, because I know they upped their percentage recently. See what the percent would be, and if it's worth it to drop it on your own website. I don't want to stress you out, but it was just a thought I had.
no, yeah, like I really don't like. I know that the higher volume stores that's where you're getting hit number one, but I don't use all of the extra features in Etsy either. So I'm paying like probably if I get $100 sale on Etsy, just that is a roundabout number. My fees are usually under $5. That's worth it for me. And I've also got it where they're paying their own shipping. I can't do free shipping anymore. It's killed me too many times. They've lost two of my cups now that are completely gone. Nobody's going to refund me for anything other than the shipping cost. So it's just, for me, I had to put shipping in there. So they're handling everything. So for me, $5 out of that is completely worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they handle the sales tax and all that stuff.
I get it.
I'm back.
And the majority of what you're doing is just personally invoicing these people. So
Right.
Yeah, that's what we were like. Boyd had brought up a good point earlier, Devin, that like if you're only going to be doing batch drops and you're going to do them, you know, every 3-4 months, that something that's important to keep in mind is like, does it even make sense to have a website? And there's a lot of cases where it still will, because you can still direct traffic and, inquiries about orders, and that just helps your algorithm for your stream as well and stuff like that. But that, is a good point, that maybe it isn't always the way. That's the only way you're going to sell.
I think for Boyd, like in your situation, because you're in the same boat as us, like trying to grow a community and bring more people to your stream and hopefully be a lot bigger than you are today. I do think it's important to have your own website that
No, for Boyd I agree. For Boyd I agree.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like
Just
that. It was
for-
just something. It was just like something to think about. Like, if this is going to be the way you sell and the only way you sell, like, make sure you keep in mind, is it worth the $30 per month if this is just something you're going to do every few months, or should you be on Etsy and Ko-fi instead?
Yeah, I get it.
Well, this is my own 2 cents, and I'll take whatever hit it comes for this. I am in a community that is primarily, like, the main community I'm part of is a making community. I cannot tell you how many of those people have websites that have 10, 15 cups on it, and that's it. And they never get traffic. They don't, like, I'm trying to, I don't want to be a once, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, really, other than
I get where you're get where you're coming from, because it's like, so one when you come from that type of community, like, if a person's not hyping their website, you're not going to get any traffic there, like, to be completely honest. So if you open a website or an Etsy or any of these types of things and you're not doing anything with it, then there's not
Right.
really any way to keep that website going, right?
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from, where you're like, well, you're nervous to open a website and put cups on it. Well, they're trying to use that website as only a store, where you can use that website as a means of communication, whether
Right.
it be you're doing a blog post, or you're sharing your art, or you're sharing something else that you're passionate about as well too.
Yeah.
I'll give you the
There's
example.
also an
I like
algorithm,
Yeah, like, I like to sew. I also like to garden. I also like to do something else. You can have a section that's just your shop specifically,
Right.
but also other things that you do.
Like a
And
blog.
Yeah.
That's where I'm struggling with it. Like, I don't see it, like, when I look at what I've created, I'm like, it's just a page of cups. 9
Right.
times out of 10, people that are looking for a custom cup, they don't know me. They're going to Google it, and the first suggestion they're going to get for the first 20 is going to be an Etsy thing.
Shop. Yeah.
So I think, like, Boyd's got a ton of different things that he's doing too, from
Yeah.
pins to cups to bowls to those kind of things.
Well,
I've
not
got
just broke down the Etsy fees too,
cups,
as well.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I don't know what I want to do with that.
Yeah. And, like,
Did you?
You're not wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you, with this like batch release and what you're doing now, you're really separating yourself from the cup makers of Twitch. And I want you to know that, like, you're on the exact path to separating yourself from that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're standing out. People are going to start realizing that you could do so much more than just resin on a cup.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Did
you're
you-
doing it a
Your
different way than they
Dragon Eye-
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did
Yeah,
you?
the Dragon Eye, the gnome, although I mean
Yeah.
those are all things that I mean, when I think of custom-made resin cups, I think of somebody cutting vinyl on a Cricut, or just slapping some sparkly glitter on it. But what you're doing is, like, you can
Yeah.
hit so many different markets. I mean, you can hit all the nerd fandoms, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
had me hooked with the Dragon Eye. I'm a huge fantasy art nerd, and I plan on being hopefully the one that gets that Dragon Eye cup, and I will stab a mother on Twitch to get it.
So you remember when we were talking about how there's people
Yeah,
that are
right.
looking at that same cup after the one person
Oh,
gave you a
yeah.
hard time out? Dick Batty's been
I'll
here
push
listening
him
to all
away.
that.
I'm pushing them off, man. I will be in your Twitch before you are if I have to.
He's here waiting for the launch time, Janie. He's just here waiting.
But
Well, see,
yeah,
that's where I struggle with the website, because I also, like, I don't want it just to be cups either. I don't
Yeah.
see. I'm trying to grow and build that stuff up, but I don't really know
I think
you're still figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that, Janie.
Yeah,
I think am I hearing a little bit? Am I hearing a little bit of imposter syndrome right now?
I think so.
Well, it's just
Maybe.
like when there's a lot of people that instantly say you need a site, you don't need Etsy, you need a site, and you need to go. And I don't agree with that. I don't think I'm at the point that I need a site yet.
No.
Because number one, I've been able to manage it on my own through Etsy and then through PayPal. But I do see what Devin's saying about that is pulling in more and giving more information about you, where when you're not on stream, it's hard. And my biggest challenge is my kids. It's summer and it's like literally having a child sitting next to me, and my chat is talking about like things that she can't read. Things like that. So that's where I'm
I get it. You gotta figure it out, and it's okay to not know exactly what you want right now. Like that's part of this journey of figuring things out. But the one thing I will say, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is even when we were like tiny little streamers with very little viewership, clicks on our socials were through the roof across the board. Even if activity in our stream was not going up, people would come on. They'd be like, "What's this shit show about?" And they would click through our links. They would, and like you would just see that activity go up, even on pages like Moses Hoses that they 99% of our viewership even today has no interest in. They still go, they still click on it, they still follow. Like you do drive activity, and as you grow your stream, and I know you are growing your stream, it becomes more and more relevant to have a place to send those people. Especially because you are, as you said, a part of a community, and you're trying to separate yourself too. Like that becomes difficult, and you got to figure out how to navigate that. So it's just food for thought, not one way or another. But like for us, we expect to sell a lot of our products to, especially now that we're expanding our brand, to people that are not on Twitch, like people, our friends, our family, stuff like that. But like if they come to our website now, they might not ever come to our Twitch, but they can see, like if you look at my screen, they can see our stream, and they might see us laughing our asses off, having a good time, and now they might click on our Twitch and come to Twitch instead. And getting to people to different platforms is fucking impossible. It is so hard. People think that, oh, I have 2,000 followers on Instagram and 1,000 of them are going to come follow my Twitch. We are very well known in the hookah industry, especially the part of the market that we were in. And I can count on one hand the number of people that have followed us over to Twitch. And I'm not talking about the 1,500 followers on our Instagram account even. Like I was an admin on a page with 6,000 members. And I'm well known in other pages with 6,000 plus members. But there's maybe 10 to 15 that come by on a very irregular basis. And I can count 5.
No fucking way.
Up to 10, maybe. Up to 10. But I can count on one hand that are actually part of our community. So.
And 2 of them are mods.
Yeah, and 2 of them are mods. So it's like, it's so hard. But maybe because I have this on my website now, and I know our friends and family are going to come here to look at our products and possibly buy our products, they might scroll down and see that and be like, so that's what they're talking about with streaming. And they might finally click to them. Because everybody, what we've learned is, sometimes it takes right away for people to catch on, and sometimes it takes 2 freaking years.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter to us whether it takes them day 1 or 2 years. If and when they decide they want to be involved, they're going to be welcome as if they were one of the originals. And you know, you never know. Maybe as we start putting more product up, we start getting some of those friends back into our stream.
And that's a whole nother point with what everybody here does with using Twitch. It's a generational technology. And you've got a younger, I mean, I'm almost 50 and I've only just gotten into watching Twitch in the last 4 or 5 months. My son
Yeah.
has been streaming on it for over a year. I didn't really know what it was because, I was a Facebook guy,
Mhm.
or Insta, and I was just getting used to Instagram. And so to break down that to get your audience and also your customers to realize, hey, Twitch is more than what you may have read off of a quick headline popping up on media. It's not just gaming, and it's not toxic, and it's not tubs and cleavage. It's
It's
the
not
art
ladies
and
licking ears.
yes, exactly. Oh God, yes, exactly. I'm sorry. I'm still finding those weird, icky parts of Twitch too that I can't stand. But
Yeah.
when I found the art and maker community and just how welcoming it is, I'm hooked. I mean,
Yeah.
I never once would have thought about streaming. I'm actually thinking of doing it. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
still on the fence about it, but I just enjoy seeing everybody else and just so getting your customers to accept that. And a lot of us sell to older people or to a community that isn't tech savvy, where their cell phones are all they need. So breaking that generational technology, I think, is a huge step too.
Mhm. It absolutely is.
Albatross is asking if there's a way to integrate Twitch into Squarespace. Does anyone know?
That
I
I
have to-
don't know about. I'd be surprised if you could though. I'd be.
Y'all use Wix,
yeah.
Derek?
We use Wix and Shopify. This is a Wix website. This is a Shopify one. So I have experience on both. I don't have a strong opinion about which one's better. I'd probably recommend Wix if I had to, choose. Just because I've done Wix more recently, so therefore I'm more well versed in Wix. But I don't have a strong opinion as to which one's better. But I'd probably recommend Wix.
Boyd, what do you use?
I use Shopify, and I don't know, it's relatively easy. We also bought a theme for like 80 or 90 bucks to kind of help us get started. And I don't know. I think Shopify integrates with a bunch of things. Like I use QuickBooks for my accounting, and I started with Wix and actually really liked the UI and how to design the website on Wix, but it doesn't integrate with many things where Shopify integrates with so many different platforms, which I think is a big bonus for it. But honestly, like hearing Momo talk about like the benefits of Ko-Fi, right? It really seems geared towards Twitch, where it's like $6 a month. I think what she was saying for the gold package.
Yep.
You can also subscribe on there. They have automatic alerts that show up on your stream whenever you do make a sale on Ko-Fi. So to me, honestly, it's seeming more attractive. And Janie, maybe another way of thinking about it too. And like, yeah, you may think that you don't drive a lot of traffic or sales to your site right now, but you eventually want to have a community or be able to drive that heavy traffic, and you may not have time. Whenever you are a bigger streamer, you may not have time to set up a full website, and you may need to make sales now. So kind of like putting in the work now to set up your own website, or just at least start thinking about it. Maybe something that you appreciate later, and not having to do that work.
Yeah.
One huge thing that I just remembered that this was brought up. Wix, in order to be a business, so like Shopify and Wix, Shopify's been just transferring money to my personal account. Now, should we have a business account? Yeah. But it's complicated, okay? And when it's just Devin and I doing business, it was just easier at the time, and that was fine. And that's still been fine, by the way, even though I know it's not ideal. Wix, with our business website, I was threatened and nearly refunded every single purchase on our Wix website because we were a business Wix, but a personal bank account. And yeah, we were within like I don't even know, like a week of having all our money that we made on Wix, which was not a ton because we only did some basic stuff up there, but like yeah, refunded to everybody. It was rough. And I mean, I got a business account opened. It was something we needed to do anyway, but I never had that problem with Shopify. So just some food for thought. As far as the integrations, I had no idea about that, so it's a good point by Boyd. I haven't needed the integrations, but yeah,
they'll integrate with like TikTok. I know Janie, you do TikTok as well. They integrate directly with TikTok, and you can sell on there. I mean, there's a huge list of apps and supporting integrations for it.
That's a good
'Cause you
point
can
too,
sell
Pezzy.
on Instagram too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, these are all things that I'm still new to because I wasn't allowed to do that with hookah products. So, like, despite having the experience in all of this, I was, you know, I was handcuffed by the fact that I had a tobacco product and wasn't able to do like any of that. Everything was working against us, including the fact that I can't take credit cards on Shopify, which would be the same for Wix, by the way. It's not a Shopify dig or anything. They're not willing to use their integrated payment processing for tobacco-related products. So I can only use PayPal on that website.
Did Budcessories have that problem?
100%. I got canceled from a few payment providers too.
Okay.
That's why I went to PayPal.
Yep. So you were in the same boat then. I made it for a while, honestly. That only happened maybe a year ago. So we made it like 4 years without the problem.
I asked for,
but then eventually they were like, nah. Wait, what did you do?
I was going to a big show and asked for an increase in my credit card processing like potential.
Yeah.
And they started looking into the account.
Oh man, you shot yourself in the foot.
I was planning on selling
we learned that
like
lesson the hard way too. Oh man, that brings me back to our first trade show where
they don't ask what they drink out of the cups.
We had PayPal. And we had like a scanner to, take credit cards right there straight to our PayPal account. Which was fine. That all worked. But what they didn't tell us is that because it wasn't a chip reader, there were security protocols that meant we could only get access to like $100 max of that money for 30 days. So we made all these sales at our first trade show. It went actually better than we expected. We actually made a little money at that show on top of like paying for our booth, but it was tied up by PayPal for 30 days. So the only way around that is to have the chip reader. The chip reader guarantees security, and now we have one of those. But at the time, we didn't know that, and yeah, that hurt a little bit. Yeah, the business PayPal account is good. Yeah, PayPal makes everything possible still, but it still hurts your business to not have an integrated payment processor on the website. Because some people have a lot of people have their information saved right to their browser. It allows them to check out quickly without having to type in anything. And that's what they want to do. So not having the payment processor on the website is going to hurt business no matter what. I mean, my only option for the hoses now is PayPal, but I was happy to have it again for Moco.
I mean, technically PayPal is built in. Like they have to log into something separate, but it's still available on the website, is it not? Like you can just click PayPal from the website.
Yeah, but they do have to go to usually go to a separate page to verify their PayPal, log in, and it's not that they won't buy anyway, but like if we start talking about a batch release, and now you have something that's going to slow people down, it might be the reason they don't get what they wanted. Whereas an integrated payment processor is right there in the website. You can log into the website beforehand, make an account, save all of your information, like your shipping information, so that the only thing you have to do is click on what you want, fill out your credit card and your security information, and then boom, you're checked out. So, it's not a big deal for most sales, but it's an inconvenience. And it's especially an inconvenience in particular with batch releases, that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, if somebody's trying to check out, you kind of want as little friction as possible, right?
Yep, exactly. Right. Because if they get frustrated, they might just leave it in their cart. There's some people who don't like PayPal at all, would try to avoid using PayPal or won't use it. Devin is someone who doesn't have a PayPal account because I'll let her explain that, but she basically doesn't have a PayPal account. So she has to check out as a guest, and you can do that. You can check out as a guest and fill out your information, but now you got to fill out all your information manually.
Yeah, my PayPal got hacked, and the only way I can get another one is if I change my cell phone number. So I don't even have a PayPal, and there are certain sites that you can't check out with a card. You can only use PayPal, and I don't buy from those sites because I can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a thought. I mean, I don't think everybody's PayPal gets hacked, but I'm not
No,
changing
no.
myself.
No, it's just. Oh, so you're saying your PayPal is your payment processor? It takes cards, right? But do they? But in order to do so, Pezzy, they have to leave your site. It's not integrated, is it?
It's just a little window that pops up. It's not like they're not like fully going to another tab. It's just a little window that pops up. If you're logged in already, it just asks you to log in, confirm which payment option you want, and then you hit confirm and it goes over. If you have a PayPal account. If you don't, then you have to go through the whole process.
Right. And I know lots of people, like not because of Devin's purpose, not because Devin like got hacked. I know a lot of people who will not use PayPal. But like, man, PayPal is a lifesaver for us. If we didn't have PayPal, we wouldn't have our hose business. I don't know how we would do business.
I use PayPal for my bills.
I'm fortunate to have PayPal. I agree, Saki. Like I feel like you have to have PayPal. Even if it's not the best company, it's like one of those necessary evil things. It's like people saying like Amazon's so shitty. Like the thing that cracks me up is when people talk shit on Amazon in Twitch chat.
Yeah, you're literally
that's just a classic example. Like
yeah.
And go to if you dig deep into any company, you're gonna find things that are wrong with them. So yeah, they're not the greatest company. They've done things that are wrong, but like there are just like evils that exist amongst good. Like it just is what it is. They own Twitch. I will not talk shit on Amazon because of Twitch. I have a reason and an opportunity to realize my dreams to fruition. You think I'm gonna sit here and talk shit on them? Like, and those same people talking shit on Amazon are also still using Prime.
Right.
While also watching Twitch.
Or people are like, I don't like Facebook. I don't want to do that. But they're on Instagram.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
That's the exact same thing.
It cracks me up because it's like you go anywhere, you're gonna find if you dig deep enough, you're gonna find something you don't like about anything. And Amazon, as bad as a company as they can be, you know, and as things that they've done wrong, they have provided us so much too, in a convenient and cheap way that cannot be replaced. And if it wasn't, you know, before them it was Walmart, but you don't hear people talking about Walmart as much anymore. Now it's Amazon. But like it's like, yeah, you talk shit about Amazon while in a Twitch chat. It's like, I mean, you're literally supporting them at the same time.
Bye, Walnut.
See you, Walnut.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
See you, boy.
Thanks for the chat today. Bye.
It was awesome. Thank you for being here. That's what I mean. I understand why they're not good, the things that they've done wrong, but at the same time, like,
kind of hypocritical.
They own the platform that's giving me all the opportunity I could ever ask for in my life. They literally have given me the opportunity to realize things that I didn't know were going to be possible in my life. So like, yeah, you know, I could take the bad with the amazing good that I've experienced. I'll be right back. I gotta get the dogs inside. Come here. Oh, look at you guys, ready to come in. I don't disagree, Snake. I don't. I understand. I do. Twitch's fault. No, I know. I'm not saying that there's not reason to talk shit or to find fault and be critical, because there's obviously reason. I stated some. But like, you know, I would unmute and talk more shit if I wasn't working. I get it. Like you said, you can participate in the system and be critical of it. I don't disagree. But I'm just super fortunate, and don't really, it doesn't feel right for me to be that critical, knowing what opportunities are being provided to me. All right. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
I think you covered everything.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, you guys are in here forever.
Yeah, I figured it would be a while.
I left, did a bunch of things, came back, and like, oh shit, you guys are still here.
Yeah.
Just having a good conversation.
The last time I did something like
good
this, it was
from
like 4 or
what I
5
could tell.
hours, and it was to just give like an intro into streaming and how to set stuff up and what OBS was and all that. So
Oh yeah, we did a couple of those.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was pretty good. You know,
And I haven't changed my OBS setup since that day.
But yeah, I think this is a good discussion. I think I want to make this more regular thing. Not every week
Yeah,
thing,
for sure.
but like a bi-weekly thing, even if there isn't an exact topic, but just a place for us to convene and just chat about what is going on in making an art for us, and probably not, 4 hours like today, unless there's a very dedicated subject that we want to talk about that requires that time. But yeah, so that we can just talk about things and bounce ideas off one another and just chat. So yeah, there was 15 people here for the most part for most of it, which was fucking awesome, considering it was 4 hours long. So that was really great. Yeah, just want to help each other, raise each other up. That's what it's all about.
It's good hearing everyone's different experiences with different things.
Yeah,
It's a good way to get information for sure.
Yeah, even if it's not directly relatable to what each individual artisan or artist is doing, just hearing about experiences, it inspires, it raises interest and intrigue and questions that maybe you wouldn't have thought about before, and then you're bringing something new to the table for yourself. So I think I want to use this place, the workshop for our Discord, as a place to convene and talk about that, every other week. And sometimes there'll be topics, sometimes not, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. Everybody have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody
All
has
right.
any specific questions as well, DMs are always open as well. And there's also the stream and tech talk as well. And we're always available, so you can always DM and we can chat there and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a good weekend. And
Later.
I'm sure I'll see most of you in some other place on Twitch before I make it back on Monday. I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you so much. Like, honestly.
No, you, Kim.
No, you.
No,
Derek.
you. Wait, what happens with this chat? Does it just go away?
I think it just goes away. I guess
Okay.
we'll find out.
Okay, I guess we're gonna do another little
Bye.
experiment here.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.